Okay. Noting the time in the presence of a quorum, I call the Boxborough Finance Committee to order. Tonight is January 30th, 2024 at 7 PM. We are in the Grange Room and also via Zoom. First order, introductions. We don't, the chief's not here yet, so. Oh, I gotta do a roll call, thank you. Roll call vote, attendance, Kashava,
Yes, present.
Gary,
Kushner present.
George,
George Elmas present.
Bob,
Sample I.
Becky?
Neville present.
John,
Connor present.
and
Newton
Joan,
present.
and Neil and present. Okay, so since the chief isn't here yet, why don't we go
You had me
to?
change them to 7:15.
I did?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, all right,
because you thought you would still be in interviews.
okay, that's fine. Let's go to minutes from January 23rd. Those were sent out by Gary, and then I sent them out again today.
Oh, I didn't get yours.
But the same ones that Gary sent out last week.
Oh, okay.
I just,
So no changes.
no changes, no. I just, today I tried to gather everything, because a lot of the stuff that we're gonna talk about tonight came from different people. So, is there any questions, comments, changes? Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, Kashava,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
George.
Who second?
Bob.
George,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Tony.
Aye.
And Maria, aye. Okay. We'll skip over appointments. There are no RFTs. Wow. It's gonna be a long discussion. Is there something small we want to discuss particularly? Did everyone get the new budget?
Yep.
That
When did that come out?
Mike sent it out earlier, last Thursday, I think. He updated it, and then I sent it again today.
In your,
But you
It
didn't.
was in my email. There was no changes since then.
Okay, there've been no changes since then, because there are mistakes in it.
Okay, so why don't I, since we have a minute, we can bring that up. Hold on, I gotta figure out the share thing.
That's 21st of January version. So what one next after that?
Yeah,
I've got the 24th.
24th.
Let's see if I can, no, that doesn't share. Okay, hold on a second. I'm so bad at this.
Well, Tony will be better next year.
Okay, all right, no reason to be abusive. Okay. All right.
I just want to make sure Tony keeps remembering that he's going to be doing this.
Damn.
All right, did you have specific, Mike, you're on the meeting?
Is Mike, well, we
I am.
Thank you, he is.
Okay, so Mike's gonna rest his voice. He is not feeling well. But hopefully you're listening. Mike, do you wanna, Becky, what, do you have
Yeah,
specific
I
issues?
just had one issue, and I think, I'm pretty sure I emailed you, Mike, earlier this week, but now I'm not sure at all that I did, but maybe I did.
Which was it, which budget?
215 dispatch. And it's, I can hear myself tapping on the, on the total other on the total other line is the same as the total salary line, and it should be 18,640. So right now, it's showing total dispatch 105, when it really, I think, should be 71 and change.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, all right, don't talk anymore, that's fine.
Just do the thumbs up, like, little thing on Zoom that you can do. Okay, so that's the change the total.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's good. We just saved ourselves some money.
yeah.
So that's other.
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna make sure I double check the next cut. Is there any other ones that you know of?
that's the only one I checked quickly. I didn't spend a whole boatload of time going through
Okay,
it.
so, Mike, just so you know, I went through some of the formulas. There's so many broken formulas in here, like, year to year and stuff, so I think we need to do that before we get to the point where, because I gotta take the summary and I need to put it into the warrant, and so we need to kind of get those cleaned up, but we'll work on those slowly, and we'll just send you changes as we find them.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Can you give me the name of this budget? Just so I have the right,
It's,
the right
I
version.
sent it out in an email today.
Yeah, but what's it called?
Expense budget, date 1/24/24. That's the current version that we're working on.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right. Since we have a few minutes, do we want to kind of touch on, why don't we touch on the school stuff? Because otherwise Adam needs to stay for an hour, and that
Yeah.
doesn't seem fair. So, ALG yesterday voted to go forward with hold on, let me stop sharing. Voted to go forward with a override in the amount of 6.6 million. And that is in addition to the 2.5. So the revenue,
3 with new growth, I guess.
okay, 3 with new growth. So, so the revenue, so it's not 6.6 million and then just the school gets X number of dollars from it. It's gonna be the 6, do you know how much, they didn't make that decision, right?
I don't know.
So they didn't make that decision, but ultimately the school's gonna end up being whole, minus $2 million. So they're gonna be, according to Peter, I sent an email to him yesterday, and I believe I sent this out to you guys afterwards. The increase year over year is gonna be the $7 million number. They cut $2 million from the level service.
Wait, can I ask, because I heard the select board, or maybe the last ALG meeting, them saying that they were taking 2 million off the Acton assessment, not 2 million off the regional school budget, which would then mean there has to be a certain amount for the Boxborough assessment, do you know?
Is that a question we're asking him next week?
Well, he's not, I mean, I can ask Peter that next week, I remember hearing that, and it was like, they were talking about, we want 2 million off our assessment.
I don't know where it landed.
Okay,
What the district is currently planning on is the A budget that they proposed, which is the 115 million number that I think you confirmed with Peter and John. I gave you the spreadsheet that had that.
Yep.
So the A budget, 115 million and 117,000, I think it is, included a $2 million decrease out of the 9.5 million owed.
Yep.
So this budget, the A budget was supposed to be 7.5 million, of which some would be paid by the normal increase from Acton, plus Boxborough's obviously, and then whatever the override is. And I assume
This is
to
the
come-
slide Peter sent today to me. So the increase from prior year is $9 million. I thought you guys had cut 2 million out, but apparently not. And so he confirmed that the 15.59% would be Boxborough's assessment if the override passes.
So the 15.59 is based on a $7.5 million increase, not a $9.5 million increase.
well, you've got.
I thought so too, but it says 9 million on the slide.
So I think where we're getting confused is that the deficit that we had been talking about, the 9.5 million, was the gap between the 3% assessment increase to Acton and then what was level services. So the actual additional funding that the district was looking for to provide level services would have been 9.5 plus the additional 3%, which I think was roughly 2.5, 3 million. So I
Okay.
think, and that's why, I mean, this is what it would be helpful for us, because where the district is coming at is that 115,312,000. That's the number that they proposed in a budget. And I think what we've heard from the ALG and from the Acton side is that through their override, they'll fund their portion of that assessment, which is the 79,843,000.
Yep.
And so I think what would be helpful from this body is to get feedback on the Boxborough side of that.
Which is the 16,117,000.
Can you bring up, do you have the calculator up?
Yeah.
Okay, you got that? Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing, so everyone's seeing this slide, this is
Yep.
this is the number that we're looking at. I'm gonna stop sharing, I'm gonna let Tony share his screen, which he has the tax calculator. Based on the budget that was sent out, the 124 budget we just looked at, the warrant list that is as part of that budget. So the important part, I think, Tony, is if you kind of go down to our
Amount
levy.
to be raised.
Yeah, the amount,
Let's change now. I'm adding in some of this stuff live, so this is pretty.
Okay.
maybe not
I
correct.
think, is it further down?
No, the amount to be raised is showing it's 25.9 million now, but I don't think that's right.
No, it's
How
not.
could it be?
That's not what you sent me.
No, because the number you gave was 28,
Yeah, let me-
262.
Yeah, I'm looking at, let me go back.
Tony, what do you have for the school number at the top there? I think that was,
Too much.
looked
What he's got.
low.
It looks low. Where's the
Yeah.
school?
13,499.
Oh, yeah, that's like the old number.
So,
Okay, so hold, 60.
No, 16.
No, no, he's gonna have
16.
16.
that's the number,
Yeah, 16,180, 118, yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
operating budget,
is,
There's your 28.
yeah, that's the operating budget. So that's changed. I'm going to go back to my previous version actually, because
yeah, the one, because nothing
Yeah.
has changed since then,
yeah.
so.
Well, it has, because because of the,
I also have
This
that
is- this is
previous.
today's version. so I calculated it came down to 28,260,000, oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, so if you can share that.
Sorry.
Right, 28,262.
So we are
Yeah,
currently,
28,262, yeah. yeah.
we currently have about a $2 million levy, excess levy. With the school budget at 15.59, the amount to be raised is 28,262,000, and our levy limit, including our excess levy, is 27,205,000. So we have $1 million problem if we were to fund the 15.59% assessment from the school. I mean, we have $1 million problem, like not we would need to cut or use a significant amount more of either stabilization or free cash.
Or go for an override.
Or go for an override, so in the amount of $1 million, so
Or
if
cut
it's,
some things out of the raise and appropriate line of warrant article say.
right, so we would need to look at our warrant list and see where we're, can you go up to where the warrant is, the raise and appropriate?
Yeah.
Right there, so
it's
the.
1.972.
1.972. So this is a carefully put together list of what the town needs, right? So we'd have to either cut significantly out of that.
Well, that includes the 650 for the library in there, for example.
That was,
650,000 for the library is in that warrant list.
it is, but they
Yes.
have not told us yet, we're taking that out. So
And
we
when-
can
and
take
I
that
saw
out.
Mike today, and he did say, Sean's pretty sure they're gonna take it out, but she needs to get the okay from the library board of trustees to actually take it
So if we
out.
take that out, we have a $400,000 problem.
Yeah.
That's for this year, and this is the problem I have, Adam. The increase for level service from the region is not sustainable, year over year. It is absolutely not sustainable. We, as a town, have been very conservative, and we have a significant excess levy. If we were to even dig into that for $400,000, let's say, so we, all things being equal, this is the budget minus the 650 from the library, and we dig into that, then that levy capacity is down to 1.6. And next year, the school comes back and says, hey, we're gonna do a $9 million level service budget. It is either setting us up for an override this year, if we don't dig into the levy and switch things around and cut things, or it sets us up looking at going forward in the next 2 to 3 years, an override, if we're lucky, we can get out 2 or 3 years.
Although ALG did say, this is a one and done, they're not looking at doing another override
I
next year.
understand, but their capacity and our capacity, right, because they've already run out of capacity.
Right, so they're gonna do this override this year, give the school what they want, and then they're not gonna have any capacity for next year either.
So-
No. By doing the override, they reset their levy limit.
Right, but if it's a 10% or $10 million increase every year for the schools.
No, I know what you're saying, but because they reset it, and it can't be $10 million.
Well, I would
Can't
agree.
be.
Even if it's $7 million.
I know, but what I'm saying is that they reset their levy limit by $6.5 million, plus new growth and all the other features.
Right, but the new growth, and the 2.5 and the new growth is not gonna be enough to continue to fund this problem at the school.
So, so this is also on our agenda for Capital Saturday for first thing, because we're in a joint meeting with the select board, and the select board's coming to our meeting Tuesday night. It's a joint meeting that evening as well. But this is you know, I'd like to hear everyone else's, that's my concern. My concern is that 15.56% puts our town in a really bad financial position. I mean, and it's irresponsible. I can't, I don't think, and I'm hoping that there's something that comes forward Tuesday night that changes my mind. For me, even if we make cuts, I am worried in the out years. So unless I hear something Tuesday that really changes, that says, hey, listen, you know, we'll manage to get through this budget, we'll make whatever cuts we need to make, I can support this, although I think we would be raked over the coals by the taxpayers. I can support this increase. I would need to know what the out years look like, because this is not sustainable, and this already is putting us as a town in a really bad financial position this year. But my concern is years going forward, especially with the new fire station that we need, various other, you know, we have a lot of needs coming up. So that's my concern, but I'd like to hear what everyone else at the table thinks, because Adam wants some feedback.
That's why
So,
he's here.
That's why he's here.
So to add to that concern, I would say, what's the plan for the future, right? What are we looking at 5 years out? Are we still going to have the free choice in Acton of, you know, you can go to any school you want to? Isn't that a luxury that perhaps needs to go away? There needs to be a plan to make that disappear, as well as the administration for the extra school building, which is not an insignificant cost, I would imagine. But if there's no plan, then it's really hard to support this kind of a 15.5% increase for Boxborough, because, as you said, it's just going to continue to go badly. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you.
No, I think what the committee's got to do is they got to give rough number projections for year 2 and year 3. We know what year 1 is supposedly, but we got to get some idea of what 2 and 3 is going to be, because I agree with Maria. If it's at the same level, that's not. If it's something less than that, you know, maybe we can take a look at it, but it can't be at the continued growth at what it is right now. And I think we got to get projections. We got to get projections for at least 2 more years, so a total of 3 years.
Yeah, I think that sounds right to me. I think we need a sort of strategy, I think, including what George says about, you know, what are the ways we could turn it around in the future with other ideas, like taking away the school choice. I mean, that's not an immediate fix, but it could
Right.
be a fix in over a 5-year period, say, or partial fix.
Well, can I say something?
Yes. Yeah, I just need you to speak up a little bit,
Yeah.
Kashava, because it's hard to hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I can hear you, just speak up a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, basically, it's actually going to keep going up and going to go up beyond the levy limit. There's no choice. The fundamental question basically is, do you want the best school system? Do you want the best emergency services in the state? Or what is it? What's our goal? Because we'll have to ante up the money from taxes. There's no choice. We keep on going up. The labor is unionized, and they're going to get the contracts, and so that's the way it is. So I can see my taxes doubling within the next 6-7 years.
God.
That's crazy.
And
Kashava.
I personally am happy to pay it if we get the best services.
Okay, thank you. I do remember, Kashava, a day when I was running an override in this town, and you and I were having like hour-long debates about taxes. But, thank you. Gary, John?
Yeah, well, you look at it. From moral viewpoint, we want to educate our children the best way we can. We want to provide the best emergency services to people like me who are 80. I fell down last Tuesday night and had really bad bruises on my knees. I ended up going to the hospital, get it checked. Fortunately, nothing was broken. So I'm looking at things at the age of 80 in a very different way than financially. I have to look at it from a morality viewpoint for our children and our elders.
Okay,
Anyway,
thank you.
that's my story.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of to what everybody's saying is, I mean, we're looking for
like the real structural changes that need to be made, that, I think you have to be pretty radical. I mean, you have to throw things out there that, athletics or something like that. I mean, real serious, kids go to that school for the academics. I'm not sure. And I love sports. I was in sports myself, but, at what cost, right? I think the school is to be commended, though, for what it does for its present cost. And I don't think we can forget that. That's really important. At the same time, I don't think it's been proven or shown that we're going to be in a better position 2 or 3 years from now. I just don't think the trend is in our favor right now. So it has to be a radical change.
Unfortunately, we cannot solve this problem financially. We can only solve it by raising taxes. And anything we think about that we can structurally change something or the other, it's basically utter nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. But
I
so
mean,
you
they
have to
have
take
a
a look
list
at
of changes that, on their presentation, Kashava, if you go to their presentation, they have a list of changes. What needs to be, though, is not this, we could do these changes down the line. It needs to be, we are doing these changes in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Because right now, I mean, Peter was really kind of like all over the place with his, these are the structural changes that we could do, that we might do. The only thing I think that he's serious about, frankly, in my opinion, is the medical insurance, and it's because he has no choice, right? Because Health Insurance Trust is insolvent and it's falling apart, so he's got to do something with that. So I'd like to see more of a commitment on that. All right, wait, Gary, then you go. And then we have the chief, he has an appointment at 7:15, so go ahead, Gary.
So a couple points. I think I mentioned this last week. I was at the last school committee meeting. I did ask for something in the middle. It was turned down. The school committee believes they need the full money or more. A couple people wanted to go the full $9.5 million. I also told them I don't think Boxborough can support a 15.59% increase. That's a huge increase for us. I asked for something low, in the middle. Again, school committee said no. They want to go with the full override or nothing. It's a large step action. I hate to see the school decimated. I don't know what Acton's going to do. Obviously, none of us do, whether they're going to support it. As a reminder, Acton does their election before they do the town meeting. So the town folks get to vote before they even really talk about what's going on. We don't have to support it even if Acton does. Obviously, we know that for a fact. But I hate to see the school decimated. I also agree that we cannot support we know it's going to be $2 or $3 or $4 million every year increase because that's just the budget, the contract with the teachers. I think it's like $2.3 million. I already looked at that for next year. So we're already talking multiple millions every year just for the contractual reasons. Other than that, I don't know how Boxborough is going to vote. It's going to be interesting. Acton's, by the way, it's similar to us in about 25% of the families have
Higher.
children in school.
We checked the census data, it's higher. It's closer to 35-40%.
For Acton.
What's 35?
The percentage of residents with children under 18.
Okay, but how many kids are going to Minuteman and Parker and,
Oh, wait, so 35% have kids in the school system.
Census data doesn't show that. But
Under 18 is all he's
kids under
saying.
the age of 18, which you would assume are either in the school system or soon to be.
Is that households? Percentage of, okay.
Okay.
So you're saying in Boxborough, that's too.
It was
So I'm gonna double
between
check
35 and
that.
40% for both. Census data is available online for, I think it's from
So,
22.
so both towns are the same
Yeah.
thing?
yeah, but you could have preschoolers, right, and newborns, and it's just as long as they're like under 18.
Right, well, that's fine, that's what
Okay.
the 25.
Under 18.
Yeah.
Under 18, yeah.
Okay, you want to?
Yeah, I thank you for the feedback, first of all. I think it's really important to hear that from you. I just want to give you a quick view of sort of our timeline. So we're committed to be here next week. Unfortunately, I won't, but Peter will be and some other representatives will be. What you won't see, and I want you to prepare for that, what you won't see are those structural changes yet, because that is going to be presented to the school committee on Saturday, which is the 10th, the budget Saturday. And I want to be clear, Peter proposed in his A and B budgets the things that he could propose within his purview. He is not supposed to be the one who recommends closing a school or changing start times or any of that. That's all the school committee's purview. So, I think ask all the questions, challenge him. He's the guy who owns the numbers. But I'd also ask for you to be patient to wait until the budget Saturday and hear how those things get both presented to the committee and also deliberated by the committee. Because, we're looking at all the structural changes, everything from school choice to transportation, healthcare costs we know we have to hit. The one thing that I would just caution everybody about is that there are some people who are adamant about athletics. Don't take away athletics. There are some people who are adamant about the school that they chose 2.5 years ago. Don't take me out of that school, even if you have to bus me 3 towns over to it. And so I think that's the consideration that the committee needs to make, is how do we make the structural changes, but bring the entirety of the community along with us on that process. We recognize we have to do this quickly. Acton FinCom is at the same point where they're saying to us, you're going to get this money, but then you're not going to get any more after this. You're back to 3%. What are you going to do to structurally fix this? So all those things are on the table. They just need to be better presented to the committee in a forum that they're allowed to have that presented to them. That's what Budget Saturday will be. And then we need to deliberate it. And you can bet that as the chair of the committee, I'm going to be pushing my committee members to make realistic and pragmatic and fast decisions about how we want to move this forward. But I just want to caution you, what you're going to get Tuesday, Peter's going to be reserved on, because rightfully so, he can't present all of that to you before he's presented it to the school committee. So stick along with us on this. We're definitely going down that path. What you're saying is what everybody else in the community is saying. There's just, everybody values something different, and as the committee, we've got to figure out how we balance both sides of that. So that's my feedback there. But I also want to say, Gary, I watched the video from last school committee meeting. The committee is all over the place. I mean, there are some people who don't take any way, fund us fully, and then there are other people who are asking for options. I think where we're landing right now with our A budget is sort of in response back and forth with what we're seeing Acton willing to contribute. And so Acton Finance Committee, ALG, sort of values everything that we've put in the A budget. And so they're moving forward to help us support that. But as I've said before, they're not the only party at that table, and Boxborough, Town of Boxborough is also there. So, give us feedback throughout, give us feedback on Tuesday, on Saturday, ask the questions. We've got lots of open time on Saturday for questions, line item review, all of that. We're happy to take that input, and if we can shave more out of this to bring it down to something that's palatable for Boxborough, I think that's fine. My one last comment is, I think it's impossible to think that forever you can hold to a 2.5% tax increase when inflation and cost of everything, even on the town side, goes up more than that. So it's an inevitability. Would we have loved one more year to plan for this? Yes, for sure. But I think for Town of Boxborough, I think we should be looking at this as well and start the conversation. The schools aren't going to be the only ones who are going to need the additional funding. Like you said, there are things coming to the town as well. So, I'd be happy to help support and provide the feedback and the input from the school side about what we're able to do with the extra funding, or it's not even extra funding with what we've asked for. But I think that it's also important for all of us to consider that 2.5%, 3% a year is just unsustainable. That Acton was able to do it for almost 20 years, I think, is a testament to the financial controls of both sides. I haven't looked at when the last time we had one here, but it's around the same time, right? Yeah, so we're looking at a lot of other towns, they've all done it within the past 10 years, they've had overrides. So I just feel
But
like.
they haven't all passed them, like Newton didn't pass them. Look at the
No,
hole they're
I
in right now,
recognize.
right?
I'm not saying that everyone is
problem
passing, I'm
is,
just
they got a big
saying that
problem.
this is a challenge that is not, we don't want it to be just on the backs of the schools. We recognize that there's valuable benefits that the town gets as well. And I would love for the conversation not to be about, we're never gonna have the override, and more about bringing everybody along on the fact that we've done really well for almost 20 years, and that to support both the excellent schools and the excellent, things that we get from the town, we're gonna have to consider an override at some point. It's gonna be hard.
I think the problem is it's so late right now in the game. It's late for Acton, it's late for Boxborough, for any of us
sure.
to decide to do an override now for next year. It's like crazy.
And I think this came out, I mean, Adam, I know you guys have been saying for a while, you know, it's difficult to just do the 3%, whatever Acton could afford.
Yeah.
But this came out of nowhere in November. We have a health insurance trust problem, we gotta come up with $2 million, we have a $7 million deficit. This is stuff that should have been foreseen, particularly the health insurance.
it was-
There's no excuse for
Yeah,
that, in my opinion. The health insurance, like, you know, back in September, there should have been, whether it's the school committee or the representative to the school committee that's on the health insurance trust or the health insurance trust. This doesn't just come up. We don't just become insolvent. It just, you know, so I think it's late. And so when we did the override last time, we started the override in June.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks after our annual town meeting. You know, because we knew, the town knew, the school knew, everybody knew we were gonna need an override. And so we had a year to plan it. and
Look, you had
to
us
work
running it.
So,
I'm not running overrides.
I don't disagree with any of that. We were equally upset and surprised by the health insurance trust. We were definitely on the track. You know, we all knew that we were gonna need to have Acton go for an override. No one wanted it to be this year, but then someone slammed us with a $3 million bill for health insurance.
Yep.
And, you know, we've acted as fast as we could, and we've tried to be as upfront as possible about how that got there.
You know, just because you brought up athletics, I know we've got the chief waiting.
Yes,
Just
we
because
do.
you brought up athletics, I just want to put this bug in your ear, because I've been thinking about this a lot. I know people love their athletics. I know people in Acton Boxborough love their athletics. But if your kid plays ice hockey, it's paid for. The ice time's paid for because they practice at the arena. If your kid takes figure skating, guess what? It's not paid for. It's on the backs of the parents. If your kid takes art lessons at Acton Art School, it's not paid for, right? So I think extracurriculars should be the first thing. I mean, that and administration, because I think you're so top-heavy. But I think extracurriculars really need to be looked at to be made self-funding, because I think it's ridiculous that we're paying for that when we pick and choose what extracurriculars we think are important. So I'm just putting that out there.
Speaking as a resident of Boxborough, I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Okay.
speaking as a parent of athletes, you know, you pay a fee anyway. And actually in the budget B, the lower budget.
It's 100%.
It's gone. It's 100%. And then the parents, so they did look at that in that budget. But I'd like to see all clubs, extracurriculars,
Yeah.
everything become parent-funded. So that was athletics, but I didn't hear about the stipends for the teachers who stay for the different clubs after school. There's places, it's a little bit here and a little bit here, but there's a little bit here and there, so.
It's not 90 teachers we're laying off all of a sudden, right?
I agree, but I don't necessarily know if it's worth. We have $1 million problems. We don't have even $100,000 problems, and I would much rather, as you all said, I'd much rather fix the structural issues that have $1 million solutions than for us to spin our wheels and upset other people, have to deal with, you know, the folks in town who aren't necessarily financially able to participate and aren't willing or able to ask for the help to do that. And, you know, I don't think that that's aligned with our district's values. So I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying is I'd much rather find big solutions that upset a whole bunch of people equally than target
I understand that, but you know, if you
certain
think about
areas.
5 little solutions saves a teacher. 10 little solutions might save 2 teachers,
Yep.
right? So I understand we have $1 million problems, but when you're talking about laying off teachers, every teacher in a classroom, because you won't lay off administrators, every teacher in a classroom matters to the kids. So wherever you need to find it. I agree with you, you need structural redo of your budget. That said, this year that's not gonna happen, so where can we find it? So, all right. Enough said.
One
We're
question
going-
that doesn't really deserve an answer, it's a rhetorical question. How much of our budget is actually, you know, liabilities forced on us by the state, unfunded liabilities? To have
Unfunded
this kind of
mandates.
administrator to keep track of this, and to have, you know, bilingual education, you know, for elementary school kids. God knows, I mean, I could go on and on, that's not the point. But would we all feel better if you came back with a number that said,
Maybe
hey, you know
Tuesday.
what, that's $10 million, and that's forced on you by the state, not by better education. And so maybe we would, you know,
It's a fair
argue
comment.
with our representatives and not feel quite so bad about what we
So maybe
need
Tuesday,
to
give
do.
us an idea.
Yeah.
Because we used to know that number.
The one thing that I'll share with you is that we got the preliminary budget numbers from the governor's early budget proposal.
Uh-huh.
The net revenue to the district next year goes down by $200,000 from the state.
Right, that's not much.
Down.
Down. We
Down.
get $200,000 less next year than we got this year.
Yeah, but we're not talking about $1 million problem yet, $1 million problem yet.
But
That's
what I'm
trying to
talking about is every penny that I could raise, that's a
Agreed.
teacher and a half.
But that's right, I was
that
gonna
the-
say,
that
that's
the-
that's a teacher and a
That
half.
the state isn't paying for us. So, you know, the question of what's unfunded, there's a lot.
I'm much more concerned about the unfunded liabilities, which I sense is
Yep.
millions of dollars.
Right, thank you.
Well,
So one comment, when I go to the school committee, everyone seems to think if Acton passes the override, we're all set. And I can't speak because I'm not allowed to, but I want to get up there and say, if they get it, that Foxborough also has to approve the budget. And even though if Acton passes the override, and they pass it at town meeting, it doesn't mean that Foxborough will add a 15.59% increase. So I think the school committee needs a member, there's two towns in this.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that that has to be a big part of the feedback, because it's all about Acton, it's been all about Acton and their 3% increase for the last number of years. There's nothing saying that this group, I don't know how it's gonna vote, I don't know how it will come down in the end, after budget Saturday and after Tuesday, but we may vote to put 10% in the budget, because that's what we can afford, and you will need to get on floor to motion it. Now, maybe not, maybe we're split, but that doesn't mean that someone from the audience won't do that. So I think it's really important that the Acton members who want to fund this 100%, and we don't care, need to understand that, you know, we could fail that, and then you guys are back at the drawing board. So, override or no override.
I'm happy to communicate that.
That's
Gary,
great.
I'm also happy to have you communicate that at the beginning.
I will
of the
give it as
meeting
part of my
during
speech up
public-
front. I've already started preparing my normal reminder of the policy changes
Thank
also.
you.
Okay,
It's not a
thank
policy
you.
change, it's a procedure change.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
It comes, okay.
Okay,
Well, if
I'm
you
gonna have
want
the chief
more-
start, because we're late. I want to start with the chief.
Christoph.
Yeah, I know, but I want to start with the chief, because we're late. So,
Okay.
Kashava, the school committee's going to be here next week for an hour, so we can chat with them all we want next week, okay? Because
Yeah,
we've already
but
had some up.
basically, we need to think about that if we want more money from the state, our taxes have to go up. Somebody has to pay the bill. So it's not a free money.
Okay, this is true.
Yep.
Okay. All right,
So I mean, so 6.5%, we pay 7%. And then we get more money from the state.
okay, John, do you need a table? Because we can pull one up for you.
Whatever you guys want.
Well, no, would you be more comfortable with a table, or
I'm fine, what do you want?
whatever? You need to, well, are you leaving, you staying, you hanging out?
I can change.
I'll say.
Okay. Okay, so let me bring up the police budget. Thank you for being patient, I'm sorry we kept you.
What number?
210
Yep.
and 215. We're gonna start with 210 now, which is the police budget. Okay.
1738? Yep.
So on Budget Saturday, there was a few, in your budget, you still had some dispatch stuff, the K-9 stuff, so why don't you?
Yeah, I sent over, what I can do is, if I email, I have a little, about 4 or 5 slides on the questions you had, I can just go over them verbally and
Yeah,
then
that's fine.
send it to you afterwards.
Okay,
Just a few things that came up at the last meeting. One, I went over the full-time versus part-time, but I broke those numbers up a little bit more. I think a few of you had asked to break them up just for shift, because there's a little bit of an increase in the part-time. and if
a little
we-
bit,
Well, so just to show, we can get 104 shifts. That's 2 shifts a week as a part-timer versus a full-timer, 46 shifts on overtime. And if that person's forced in, we're only getting 34 shifts if they're forced in less than 24 hours.
I'm
So
sorry, how many shifts could you get on a full-time?
104 as a part-time.
Yep.
Where a full-time officer is 46 only. And if that full-timer is forced in less than 24 hours, we're only getting 34 for that same amount of money. So, again, I'm just trying to slow the overtime over the next couple of years. It's not going to decrease overtime, but it's going to slow it. If we could get, and again, they're fully certified officers. That's kind of why you see an increase there, is trying to get them. Now, there's some contractual issues you run into, because the first chance of that overtime shift goes to the union members. So you can't always be sure you're gonna get to the part-timers, but when you get into the summer months and they want their time off, and we wanna keep them happy and not getting forced in and working excess hours that they don't wanna be working, having the part-timers is a great tool. So that's where you have that increase. It's really a way to decrease overtime long-term. And some of it's gonna be trial by error on how we can get that number higher. One thing that, they're gonna be up for a contract next year. And, certainly one thing I think that the town, could look at is allowing management to use 1 or 2 shifts a week before it gets to the union. Some departments have that ability, so.
What does that mean? Explain that to me.
Well, right now, they have first choice.
Okay,
But there are some
the union
contracts-
has first choice. Okay.
But if management, and again, I know there's things they want, the Quinn bill, and I've talked with the officers, if you're eager to get the Quinn bill and things like that in the contract, there's gonna have to be some give and take, and some back to the town as well. And one of those ways to do it is, allow management to have 2 shifts a week where they could replace with a part-timer
Okay.
before it gets to them. So right now, it'd be voluntary, and in the summer months, I'd be able to do it, because they don't want to, vacations and whatnot. But, so I just look at that as long-term, a way to decrease overtime over a 2, 3, 4, 5-year period, is to rely, because when you gotta order someone in, especially on short notice, you're really, like I said, you're getting only a third of the amount of shifts. The pay rate is drastically different. And you say, why would the part-timers want this? Well, because they're often retired and they want to work details. But part of that is, yeah, we'll let you work details, which the town makes an admin fee. But in exchange, we're also going to pick up 1 or 2 shifts a week. And lets me keep my budget lower, makes that overtime expenditure not go at as high of a rate, year over year.
Okay, so that increase is for that reason.
That
You're
increases the
using
kind-
more part-time officers
Yes, to-
because you get more shifts on.
Yes, right now, any new part-time officer that comes in, they have to agree to work shifts. It's not just gonna be detail work. And actually, really, 3 of the 4 that were already here, they're starting to pick up shifts as well, which is a really good thing. So I'm trying to rely on them a little bit more. Again, I want to just, for the people watching, these are fully certified officers. One's in another town, one just retired. These are experienced police officers that are, have their post-certification. So there's no difference in the standard of care that they're giving. But I do think it's a way to decrease overtime long-term. And I only brought up the union because, they're going to be in a contract. And again, there's ways that help management run it more efficiently, decrease overtime. But at the same time, of course, they want raises like all of us. We just talked about COLAs and inflation going up. So that's kind of why that's in there, and to try to move this model where we're relying on them a little bit more. And that gives me 104 shifts. So I know that came up last meeting. So I wanted to bring those numbers and.
So is it so if that number didn't go up, your overtime would have gone up more?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And you know what, if I can't get to 104 shifts because, and I will say, some of the newer officers we hired, they like to work their overtime. Maybe contractually right now, I'm not allowed to go to them first,
Yep.
meaning the part-timers. I may have to transfer some of that internal transfer into the overtime line.
Okay.
But that's one reason why that number's there, and I'm slowing the overtime rate.
Okay.
As far as police canine breakout, we met with the town accountant. We broke that out for police canine into 2 lines. One is the salary line, one's a non-salary line, but we broke out a total of $29,026
Yep.
on the new budget. Let me grab that. So $23,010 on canine wages, and down below canine expense, $6,016. So that got broken out like you guys wanted, and it shows on the new. You should have it on the new worksheet.
Yeah, we do. And donations would just be taken into the regular, is that right?
Yeah, donations are a little. We've got to go in front of the select board and ask to use those donations. We have to. Free, it could be, one large expenditure or many non-expenditures, but again, that would be in excess. We want to fund this, and we've gotten donations. Donations have come in. But again, we're not really budgeting for that per se. But again, I think over time it will slow as we get more and more donations of how much we have to put into that program.
Can I just say that if you just put that face that's all over Facebook out, people are gonna donate, because it's the cutest little puppy ever. She's adorable.
Don't go there, don't go.
She is so cute.
The canine is coming on February 9th, Friday, next Friday.
To visit, or permanently?
We are taking possession. Now, it's only 8 weeks, it still has a lot more
Training to do.
It's not gonna be out there per se, but we are actually taking possession.
Well, maybe we should have you come back with a canine for another meeting.
Come back and visit.
We might need a comfort dog when the school committee comes into it.
Adam's like, please bring the puppy back.
It's been a great response so far. In a month or two after the dog has adjusted a little bit, and again, it's still a puppy. I mean, but you don't want to keep it too long at the where it was born, because you want it to become accustomed to that. And its home's got to be the PD and the handler's home. So that's why they're given at a pretty young age, and it'll start fairly quickly with obedience training.
So cute. Okay.
So as far as liabilities, I
digress.
know we pulled that out. That was the 9,141. I just did it, and I'll have this. I'll get you guys over the PowerPoint. I did put it. I know you pulled it out, and
Wait, the what?
the liabilities.
liability for
I put in liabilities. You
vacation.
took it out.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Whether it comes out of reserve or whether there's a liability line created, I was simply just bringing, I had put it in, you guys had taken it out, but I think you recognize it's an issue.
Yeah.
I went and did the liabilities for our entire department for sick time only. Because obviously, vacation time, you can carry over some, it depends on the person, but as far as sick time, and yes, you're not paying the person out sick time when they leave, but somebody could break a leg and they're out for a year if it's off duty, or at the end of their career, or they utilize their sick time. We currently have 3,389 and a half hours for the of sick time. That's a $213,000 liability. Now, doesn't mean that number is ever going to have to get paid out, and they do not have any contractual right to get that number paid out. But certainly, somebody could get in a car accident who's got 500 hours on the books or whatnot. So department-wide, and that's why I bring up the liability. It could happen at any given year, and that could have a major impact. If you lose one person on sick time who's got 100 days, that's $30,000 that I'm not budgeting for. So as long as it's a liability line, or you guys are aware of a reserve line, which you are, that's kind of why I put it in there. I think taking it out is fine, but I want to bring it to your attention. That's where we're at departmentally right now.
Okay.
As far as, and then somebody had asked about, a new officer, the analysis, and again, just did a real quick one, only monetary-wise, but, and again, I'll send this PowerPoint over, but it's about $24,000 of immediate savings when you hire somebody. Say that officer's making $70,000 a year. With the decrease in shift coverage and overtime, you can immediately take out about 49 days that you would not have to ever fill another shift. So you're about a 24,000, and again, there's a lot of other reasons why you hire another officer. Department's growing, there's more things that have to get done and whatnot. A population increases, but from a monetary number, one of you had asked about what's the I guess down and dirty number right away, and you could remove about 49 shifts at the average overtime rate. You're talking $24,711.
Okay, but there's also, but the question was, if we hire somebody that needs to go through the academy, what does that cost us? Because that doesn't save us money.
Okay, no, and there's a Warren article, I'll talk about that on Saturday.
Okay.
That was simply just, what's the ballpark? We know what an officer costs, but what do you have in immediate savings? And that's where that number comes. As far as going to the academy, I'll talk about that on Saturday. I have a Warren article to replenish that contingency line that was actually in there that we utilized this year when we sent our first officer in years to the academy. We went through that line, and we'd like to do that again. You build up that relationship with somebody that you sent them through, and that officer's happy working here, and we would love to do that again. I think that's a way to keep, the last one before this person is here 27 years later.
All right, so a new officer, if they're fully trained, saves us about $24,000 in overtime, because we take those shifts.
Yes.
Overtime.
Immediately.
Okay.
Because I'm not backfilling, and this is to get two officers on a shift. So now if there's some shifts that have threat, one of them calls out, I don't have to backfill it with overtime.
Okay.
Because you can still run it with two.
Okay.
So that's where I'm.
But that officer also comes in with come in with earned time, right? So like they're gonna have 2 weeks of vacation that we're gonna have to cover that and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I was simply just
Okay.
saying, what do we say, we know what it costs,
Yeah,
whatever
okay.
step, plus healthcare benefits. What is though the immediate savings on that? Well, some of it's deducted from that amount. And granted, there's a lot of other variables that have nothing to do with money that you make a case when a department needs to grow and whatnot. So those are the 5 questions that you guys had come, had come up with, but asked me to report back on. So I can get that, all this stuff is written down in analysis, but those are some of the things you had talked about to me. I know dispatch was the other issue.
Wait,
Okay, hold on a
before you
second.
go on,
I was gonna ask, is there any questions on this
yes,
budget?
I have a question, although it's really more in this year's budget. I'm looking at, now that we actually see FY '24 year-to-date as of the end of December, there's some lines that are like glaring at me, and I understand the full-time officer salary that looks like it's not at half, because we should be halfway through the year, right? So it should be about 50%. But I also see overtime's higher, because I assume we've had some vacancies, right? So we've had to backfill with overtime.
Yep. I mean, I think what we're seeing right now, I'm up in full-time officer salary, up meaning saying I have a surplus in full-time officer salary, but we're over in overtime. And that makes sense, because we were 3-4 officers short. Now we're 2 officers short, but we have an officer out who's been sick long-term.
Yeah.
So we're really 3 officers short. So of course, we're gonna have the savings in the one line, but certainly have to make up for it by filling those shifts with overtime.
Okay, and then I was worried about like police vehicle maintenance. We only have $5,000 left for the rest of the year. Is that gonna be
We did most of that already. There's very little left.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. There's very
We
little.
get a lot of that done. We try to, even before the winter, a lot of that is done in the fall.
Okay.
There's minor stuff, there's the oil changes and whatnot, but a lot of that is already done. He's well aware. I've actually just had a meeting with Sergeant Gath, who's dealing on
Okay.
that, and we should be okay there.
And then my only other line was the police other expense. We have $9,000 budgeted, we've already spent $8,095. And I don't even know what that includes, but like, is that, whatever it includes is gonna be problematic if we're burning through it so fast?
Yeah, I'll get you, I can actually get,
I'll come, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
care.
you can come see
just
what it
come
is.
see you, but I just wanted to bring those up.
and we've had some, I mean, this year's a little unique, and again, we're gonna get into dispatch, but in the sense of, getting things ready for that transition and things like that. But yeah, if you want to come.
I'll come touch base with you.
Can I just ask a question, since on the lieutenant salary, that's going up 8%?
Okay,
So the lieutenant's on the personnel plan.
yes.
Do we increase that on the personnel plan, or is that steps and COLA?
So that, actually, the 106 budgeted, it's actually going to come out to about 109. I might have the exact number for you here. So he started at a step 2 with Quinn. It's about 109, 109 and a half. So even though it's budgeted for 106, that is what we had done. But when we came up with that position, we started at step 2 with Quinn. It came up a little bit more. So the increase is really 109 to the 114, not a 106. I'm making that up. I have to make that up, and that's part of my.
Okay.
So we have a couple that are.
That's a 5% increase then.
Okay.
So that, again, that's simply based on, and it could be 110. I mean, but it's not the 106. It's actually higher this
So
year.
this year is at 106, so this number is
That's
not
why that 8% is
reflective.
really,
Okay.
and it's only going from a step 2 Quinn to a step 3 Quinn.
And 2 Quinn, 3 Quinn, there's Quinn in the personnel plan? Or is it a side letter agreement with the lieutenant?
It was he's on the plan, but he also gets the Quinn bill. So he
It's a
gets.
side letter.
It's a side letter.
It's
in
what
the
was put in
contract.
his
Memorandum
job
of
offer.
understanding.
Okay,
His
that's what I
condition.
understand,
Yes.
okay.
Not
Because
in
it's
the-
not in the personnel plan.
No.
It's,
But we're
but it's
going-
part
we
of
go-
his contract, okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
Not a contract, but outside. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, okay.
Um,
Anyone else have
sorry.
questions?
I have a quick.
Go ahead.
Anyone? Just a little minutiae here, and I apologize for this, but like on rows 11 and 12, I'm noticing the account numbers are identical. Is that normal for all of these, and I've seen that repeated elsewhere as well.
Where are you?
Actually, it's not. So the stipend, it looks like police K-9 was added and the stipend number for the police was brought down. That is not normal. That should be its own number.
Right, and that goes for the other, I
So
think
that
at the
would be one
bottom
of
as
those-
well, row 23 and row 24.
Yep.
Same thing. So it was when the K-9 expense was added.
Yeah, no, yeah, there were changes at both of these rows, so I'm
So
just,
this is.
we want to
from-
make sure that the accounting or financial team adds account numbers that they're
I
supposed
can
to.
bring
get.
that to Kelly. I mean, those
Yeah.
numbers are,
Can you do that?
yeah, I'll mention it to her. I don't know why that number's the same. It obviously, yeah, it wouldn't be that line.
No,
It
it should be
should
different.
be its own line, but that's a good catch that came out of stipend. It's like the last line. I would think it would be like 5160 or something,
Yeah.
Yep.
as opposed to
Yeah,
5150.
so it happens for the stipend and it happens for the other expense.
Down at the bottom. All right, I'll bring that to Kelly's attention.
I'm sorry, I'm not following the discussion. What,
So if you look at line 12, Gary,
The coding.
which is
and look at the coding, right? 5-1, the last number's
Oh,
5150.
it's the coding, not the dollar amount.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
It's
Yeah, I
coding.
think it might have just,
It- Right, when
Didn't
she
increase
added the line, it pulled down the
Now, that, I
coding
understand
number.
now. I'm looking at the dollar amount saying, what? But it's, I see, it's the counting number.
Okay.
My question, I don't understand the lieutenant and Quinn. Why is an officer who's not in the union getting Quinn?
that was the,
No, we didn't.
when the lieutenant was hired, that was the job offer that was, the town presented to the individual who was selected to be the lieutenant. They started him at a step 2, and Quinn, that, I mean, yeah, the number has to be, but you'd want it to be more than a sergeant with a master's degree. So if you didn't give him Quinn and you started him at step 1 or 2, it would be below that number.
So it's just an offer to make an officer who gets Quinn in the contract in order to get him to take a lieutenant's position outside the contract.
Yeah.
You're matching the Quinn.
They may not take I would have a tough time filling it internally without giving them,
The last lieutenant did not have Quinn.
Right, and I always thought the Quinn was, again, not offered to the lieutenants and captains and
Well,
chiefs, et cetera.
But this was a management decision that that's how we were going to get the lieutenant to take the
It's
job.
not unlike the fact that when you look at, I believe, I mean, when we go to a finance director, that's going to be a contracted position, not on the personnel plan, even though we have it on the personnel plan, because we can't hire somebody for that price. It's sort of the same thing. You couldn't get a lieutenant for what was on the personnel plan.
they would be taking a pay cut.
And I understand
or-
we don't want to do that. My issue is, and it's the issue we've had for years, is that when we approved Quinn in town, we were not told that Quinn would include the overtime. And so when officers started putting in for Quinn and sued us, it dramatically increased our costs. And it was not something that was made known to us at the time. So we've tried to change, correct things over time and make it a little bit better for both the officers and the town. We support the officers, supported them tremendously. We did the 3-4 days, and we've done a lot we could. Quinn just has gotten out of hand, unfortunately. But if that's the contract, there's nothing we can do about it, but
I will say, you don't currently have Quinn for any new hire.
Right.
unless they have Quinn in from previous.
Unless they have, which is.
But the younger officers who
Yeah.
were put into the academy, you don't have Quinn.
understand.
Like the officers, the 3 officers we just hired, they do not currently have Quinn. I think it's very unlikely you'll see another, I shouldn't say, it could happen, right? Someone could transfer in with 20 years' experience. They came from another department, had Quinn before, so that carries over. Do you not want to take no, you'd love to get an experienced individual
Agreed.
like that. So it's give and take, but I think you're going to see more they don't have it. Now, is it something they want to negotiate? They've talked about that, and they have every right to negotiate what they would like to do. But again, if that happens, it would be give backs other way. I brought up one of the ways in which, maybe the base pay would go up, but there's other ways we can decrease overtime, like I explained it earlier. So that's something I've been, just doing for when they're up contract to not, because they've made that clear that in order to get officers, other departments have Quinn, even for newer officers, and it is tough to fill
Thank you.
officers in any department, not just here. It would certainly help with the vacancies if we had that, but again, there'd have to be some give and take as well.
But again, I understand what you're saying. Just to let you know, Boxborough did get burned a number of times because of Quinn.
Well, can I just, Susan just showed me, Susan and I spoke to the council years ago, 3-4 years ago, about Quinn. And if an officer gets, this is in her notes, because Susan still has her notes from that meeting, in bold print, if an officer is promoted who has Quinn to lieutenant, the Quinn follows his promotion even though he's on the personnel plan. So that's by law. So we have to follow the law, and we also have to, it's a management decision to be able to hire people. So, I understand your concern, but it is what it is. And does everyone know what Quinn is? Does anyone need that
I don't know the money
explanation?
amount. I do know what it is, but I don't know how much money it is. Are we talking 10%, 5%? Like,
It
how much of an add is?
depends on,
10, 20, and 25 for
Yeah.
associates, bachelor's, masters, so 10%.
Percentage.
So it's a
Of the
percentage versus stable amount, which means you're getting it every.
Every time you
with
get an
every
increase,
pay
yeah.
increase. So it's gotten quite a bit over time. They did away with making it mandatory, I want to say 2011-ish. But a lot of towns still have it, or they have, I've heard of baby Quinn where it's half, all those are half, so 5, 10, and 12 and a half.
Can you just further define what those numbers mean?
Associate's degree,
it's salary, it's a percentage of salary above and beyond your salary
If you have that
for
degree.
an associate's, a
Okay.
bachelor's, a master's.
Got it.
but
And-
because it's percentage, it goes up with every increase.
When it was first put in place, the state paid 50%.
Right.
The state reneged, the police union sued,
Shocking.
and the town said, okay, we'll pay 100%. So now we're paying 10% to 100, or 20%, 25%. And the union sued us because we weren't paying overtime, quit on overtime. And these officers you heard earlier are getting a lot of overtime as part of the contract. And so it really dramatically increased the burden on the town without us knowing it was happening.
But it was also, it's built into a contract, so there's nothing we can do about it.
It's
right?
fine, I didn't understand it was in the contract, but I'm just saying that at Quinn and over time, one reason we pulled it out of the contract for new officers was because of the burdens it was putting on town.
There is a legal opinion that she brought up that says it stays with you, so that's another,
Right.
good point. It's what towns are doing now, they're bringing it back, some of them, in order to fill the vacancies, because it's very hard to, there was just an article 2 weeks ago, I think Worcester's down 40, 45 police officers, they can't fill them, we're struggling getting back to, we have 2 vacancies right now. And we're not alone, every town in this area is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers down, depending on the size. But I hear you, based on percentage, it goes up quick. It does. At the same time, so does inflation, so does, I don't have one officer, it's expensive to live in this town, it's expensive to live in this area, it's their career, their vocation. It's expensive to live here, and we have to pay our officers in order to keep them and to have any quality of life. And it seems like a lot, but so is buying a home in Boxborough, I guess.
Yeah,
or
well, I
anywhere.
don't think we have anybody who lives in town.
I didn't wanna
who's
get
a police
into- we
officer
don't.
in Boxborough,
And-
because they can't afford it.
And that is frustrating. I mean, it's probably frustrating for all of us. It's not like, but that's the way. So.
Okay. Tony?
So I've got 2 questions. One was, we had a discussion last time about the change in the ratio of sergeants to officers. Where does that appear in here? Is that in
Right,
line,
right.
which line does that appear on?
Yeah, that in the full-time officer, it comes out to $5,000 roughly. I'll get you the exact number. I have it right here.
So it's baked into that 4.9% increase, basically.
Yes, that 4 yeah, it's baked into there. It's half a percent on that line. So it's 0.5%. It's about $4,800. Did it for half a year. And again, would I rather have that structure, especially with the police reform
Yeah,
bill,
yeah.
have one more supervisor? Can I do it? It depends if we get up to full staff.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what's changing year to year. Then the other question, just come back to this part-time officers. So the idea of that is to reduce overtime, but overtime is still pretty high in the new budget. So the year-on-year increase in salaries is actually, if you take out the canine part, is 6%. Is that what you figure as well?
Yeah, so what line are you looking at?
I'm looking, we're just going to go overall increase in salary, of the salary line,
6.
taking out the K9 part, which
Yep.
obviously is a different thing, is a new thing this year. It's a 6% increase overall. Yeah, if we're going to sort of have a strategy of having part-timers to try and reduce costs, it doesn't seem to have worked in a
So
way.
2.85% of that increase is just the gross wage increase. They have a 3% raise coming in this year.
Okay.
Obviously, the number's never going to be right at 3 because some people leave, some
True, yeah.
people. So it comes out, that's 2.85% of it. 0.5%, 4792 is the half-year sergeant. If we're
Okay.
able to go to that structure. And then you took out the liabilities, and then I talked about this last time. Holiday pay is moved into that line. Was in the overtime. It really shouldn't be in the overtime line. So
Okay.
I've been put that because it's more reflective of what it is. They're paid time and a half on a holiday when they work.
Right. So you're saying that was not in the 24 budget, but it is in the 25?
It was in the overtime line.
But it's still part of salaries as a. So salaries have increased 6%. So you told me 3% is increase in pay, basically.
So the salary line is. Should have taken a table like you offered.
We can pull one over now. Do you
No,
need
I'm
one?
okay.
Okay.
So I have 4.9%.
So when I took out the K9 part, I got a 6% increase in
The
salaries.
954,101 to 100 or to 1,893,000.
It's right up there.
Line 6.
Line 6.
4.9%. Is that?
Right, I think, why does
No,
this
no,
do
no. I'm
this
looking,
when I try to make it
I'm looking at
bigger?
total. I'm looking at total salary at the bottom of the page,
Okay.
which is 7.36%.
Okay.
But some of that is the K9 officer.
Some of it's the K9. 3% is the gross wage increase. 0.5% it would be the going to the extra sergeant. The liability line would not be in there. The rest would be the. I mean, we can go through these. The K9 is 30,000 of that. 23,000 is the K9. The overtime went up to 6,000, and then I guess the biggest one would be the 46,000 in the full-time officers, which most of that is the GWI.
So GWI is what?
The gross wage increase, their contractual
So
raise.
that's like the 3%.
That's about 3% of that, yep.
Okay, so we've got 6% increase without the K9. 3% is the increase in salary in GWI, as you call it. And then there's a few other bits and pieces in there, but
Right, but they also get
They get
steps, right?
steps
They
too,
get
so
steps.
if the contract's
Yeah.
2.8, there's steps in there, and the steps gotta be 2% in between
Their step
steps.
increases
Okay.
are,
Okay.
most of them are still have a step increase. You're saying you're taking out the K9 wages, but what, I would still I mean, that's 23,000, that's.
Right, he's just trying
Yeah.
to figure out year over year what your
Yeah.
salary was without the K-9, what it looked like, and it's 6%, and so he's just trying to, Tony's right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you're trying to do.
yeah,
We
yeah.
knew the K-9 was coming in, and
Yeah,
that was higher,
yeah.
but without that, what, year over year, what you're looking at, but you have steps that you're not including. You're saying 2.8 is the
The
COLA,
GWI, yep.
okay, but there's
The
steps,
step increases,
so.
Okay.
and there is, I mean, last year overtime, it did not increase the overtime. Probably, we're gonna be tight, we'll make it, hopefully, depends on some sick time and whatnot, usage.
Yeah.
So this year, again, last year, the overtime, I think it was exactly the same. I budgeted 180 to 181. It was identical on the overtime. So yes, I'm putting some of that overtime in the part-time because I can grow it slower. But again, that may have to be transferred over contractually because I have to give it to them first.
Actually, you budgeted $1,000 less.
1,000 less on the
And I
overtime.
remember having that discussion
Yes,
with
it was
you, and you were like, no, it'll be
181.
fine. I'm
Well,
like,
Yeah, more than $1,000 less.
And
If
I
you look
think
at-
we're gonna
if you
be
look
okay,
at-
but I did,
You know,
this
look at
time I
this
went up in
versus
sick
where we are
time.
this
I
year.
did.
You went
la-
down
Yeah.
last year.
Last year I did sick
Yeah.
time at 6, per officer. I probably should have went a little higher. And it's not that officers are sick, but family members and whatnot. And then, again, if you have a person using sick time, it does add up. So those are changes I made, and I probably under budgeted in some regard last year.
I'm just pressure testing a little bit because we've said this year this is a level services budget for the town. So, and you've said a couple of times about, we're a growing department, which is nice to say, but I mean, we have to, that language is probably not ideal in a year when we're level services. I mean, we're growing with a canine officer, or canine added to the group, but we have to sort of think about it as being flat, I think.
But we're not a growing department.
Not
Right, because you're down 2 officers.
Yeah.
You've grown in your part-time,
Yep.
but you're not up to staff on your full-time. So
absolutely, we're not
right,
growing.
So
his language.
Yeah, you just need to be careful with what you're using.
Right.
The language you're using is growing,
Yeah.
when in reality, your staffing's going to stay. Your FTEs, your
Right.
hours, your people.
You're still gonna have
maybe-
2 people per shift.
Right.
Yeah, and our full-time office is not changing. This is still budgeted as
Right.
exactly the same for full-time officers. What I'm trying to do is not force as many in, and again,
Right.
decrease
Yeah,
overtime with.
understood.
Just
and this
you-
change
yeah.
that we'll be doing overtime versus part-time, this sort of thing, all perfectly understandable and good. We're trying to make sure we understand.
Right.
And I use the
Which
word
one to
growing,
do?
I shouldn't maybe use the word growing, but, and in the future, I mean, and just talking about that so much, maybe not this budget, but when I was also bringing it up in the sense of, when a department is growing, do you hire, what's the savings? We're not there, that's not happening in this budget. 3 years from now, maybe we are asking for another officer. But again, that's dictated on what happens in the community.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions on this budget? Okay, so moving on to dispatch. Okay. So, we already know the bottom line on this is wrong, just so you know, Becky. Right, the total other should only be 18,000. So the formula's wrong. But you have 2 items here, and thank you for moving it back into this budget. I know you had already done that, we didn't see that, so, thank you. So this dispatch clerical, this is gonna be someone full-time during the day to sit,
Or 2 part-time, 2 19 and a half.
okay,
But yes, it's gonna.
full-time hours.
It's.
Regular daytime
It's gonna be,
hours.
yeah, it's gonna be 2 19 and a half or 1 full-time or a combination down the road, but, yes, that's a step. Let me find out what step we put on the personnel plan. I think we did a step 3 on a department assistant position, not an admin assistant, a department assistant. And we've been actually working on that. I mean, the job description is done, but something specific to that job. I know we've got the department assistant job description, but actually working on it earlier today. Brenda was working a shift, and as you guys know, Brenda, who's
Yeah.
worked there for years, she was working a per diem shift and start working on other than just, we want that job to, what's it gonna entail, being in the front there. So that is, there is an individual there for 40 hours a week. So even though you're saving on 5 dispatchers, with Neshoba, there is gonna be 1 employee and losing 5.
And I'm not management, so I'm not making this decision, but I think it would be delightful if we had somebody who was there like evenings, or they worked, if you had 2 different people, 1 afternoons, 1 evenings, or 1 person 2 to 10 or something, just because during the day you've got Liz in the office, you in the office, the lieutenant in the office, the detective in the office, so that if somebody needs a permit or needs to file a report, I just think it'd be nice to have somebody in the evenings when nobody's around, right? And the guys are,
I
but your
think if
call.
we do the 19 and a half, it gives me a little more flexibility
Yeah,
on hours. So that's one, reason. Also, well, there's a few other reasons, but I think at least in the beginning, that's one of the, I'm looking at what Harvard does, some other towns, even if it's not late into the evening.
yeah,
I mean, 10 to 6, things like that. 10 to 2, 2 to 6.
yeah.
And again, it's also some unavailability, and if we can find an individual to work those hours. But there will be someone in that position for 40 hours or 39 hours a
Okay.
week.
All right, and then I think it's important that we say again, and we say this as often as we can, We are saving $400,000 in this budget. In a matter of 3 years, we'll be bringing back 25% of 200,000-ish. 4 years, it'll be 50%, and 5 years, it'll be 100%. So this budget will backfill up to $200,000 over the course of the next 5 years. It's important that the public understand that, because I told Mike that we would say that
Every chance we get.
every chance we get, often. And it could be included maybe in our article, that it will be going into the action limited.
It will be coming back.
Yes, it is coming back.
But
We're
still, the
saving money.
significant savings to the town.
Totally. But it's important that people realize this will not be,
It's not just the
This one.
savings to the town, that's really important,
Yeah.
but we have full coverage now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
yeah,
we
yeah,
don't have.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
important too.
right. It's obviously, it's a good idea all around, but it's important to understand this will not be this low forever, this budget.
Yep.
You said there was something incorrect about this.
If you
Say
go
that
to,
one?
if you look at this total salary, total other,
Yep,
the total other is pulling from the wrong line. It should be pulling from C21. So it should be 18,000. So
it
I'll
should be
make,
18,000, okay.
yeah, I'll make that change
Okay.
here.
So the total will be 71,493.
Right.
And then Mike's gonna make that change for the next version.
And that's been changed in the master.
Thank you, Mike. The voice from beyond.
Yeah.
It's like God's talking to me.
What? Who?
And that, this budget's down by 413,000, so, good job, chief. Okay, is there any more questions? No, the rest of it, we'll get information on Saturday regarding all the capital items, and is that when you guys are gonna talk about maintenance on these hybrid vehicles?
Yeah, we'll talk more about the cars.
Okay.
There, and, you brought up dispatch, there's something in the capital plan that, the council and the counters, now that's removed from the capital plan. So, yes, we have the savings of 400, but you have these ancillary savings that we didn't even think of that. I never brought that up, and then was doing the capital plan, we say, oh, look, here's another, we can remove that from the capital plan, or
Good.
decrease it, maybe you have to put a wall up, but certainly don't have to redo but yes, we're gonna talk about the cars on Saturday, along with
Okay.
the 3 other warrant articles that we have.
Great.
So quick question on the car that was in the accident. Is it totally gone or is it
We
repaired?
don't believe it's totally gone, no. It's getting,
But it's off the fleet for the time being,
it's off for
obviously.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that part of the vehicle maintenance or is that the insurance covered up front?
No,
One of
that's an
our-
insurance.
One of our can I tell them about this accident? One of our officers driving down 111, and somebody either slid through or drove into him. But you know what? That officer avoided in a school bus, so good for him. Because there was a school bus on the other side of the intersection, so.
We can let the insurance companies, but as far as, if we did have to make a claim, it's just a deductible.
I just know, it seems like in the past, I could be wrong, we had to pay it up front and then insurance came in later.
We've paid nothing yet. Again, I don't even know if our insurance will be paying for this one, because, fault has to, as far as
Yeah.
another car was involved.
And we'll just say insurance will cover it.
Yes.
Who's, hopefully it's theirs, not ours. Okay, thank you.
Great. Is that it for the chief, so we can let him go home?
Yep.
Thank you for coming.
See you Saturday.
See you
We'll see
Saturday.
you Saturday. Okay. All right. Goodness gracious. Let's see. All right. We have got budgets to vote. Do we want to do like a budget voting marathon night and just do it and vote them all and be done with it?
I think we should.
Like right now?
Is that tonight, you mean?
No, not
We've
tonight.
already done it, well, we've already done some.
We've done some,
Yeah.
but what I will do is I will take the ones we've done, I'll take Gary's notes, I'll make sure, and then we will just, when we don't have an appointment, because it's a lot. 'cause
Yeah.
we listened to two, and we still have some more stuff to go over. We'll just go through and we'll vote all the budgets. And,
Okay, because we
as
have,
get
the school's
closer.
coming next week, then we have Alec and the planning board coming to
that's
discuss their
gonna be
warrant
short, 'cause
articles.
they've
though, really.
just-
It's not budget, it's more warrant articles.
It's more warrant articles, and we'll have some questions, but I will get the timeline and figure out exactly when this needs
Okay.
to be done, voted.
And you'll say which budgets, right?
Say again?
And you will let us know beforehand.
Yes,
what
we've
budgets.
already voted a couple, so I will take the ones we voted, I'll take all these numbers, I'll make sure that I have all the votes. I will do that if I have some time, and then
Are
we
we
can just.
expecting any anomalies or anything? I mean, if nobody's presenting a budget to us, and we're just
Well,
looking at
so we
numbers, what do
can't,
we?
we're not, I don't think. I think some of it has to do with what we decide with the school. I think we need to make a decision on what we're gonna do with the school assessment before we vote budgets, because part of it may be going back to the department heads and saying, we need to cut budgets by X number of dollars. And we've done that in the past. We did that one year. We had each department cut $10,000 out of their
Yeah.
budget. 10,000 is gonna be like chump change, but like, I think it depends on where we land with the school. I'm not comfortable voting, some of the smaller budgets we voted, but I'm not comfortable voting big budgets until we know where we're gonna land on that, because then we have to figure out where we're gonna be.
But
Plus, we have budget, we have capital Saturday, we also need to look at all of those items and figure out our funding sources. Mike went through and looked at the warrant articles and put some funding sources down, but that was just his suggestion. That doesn't mean that maybe we don't use a little more free cash instead of raise and appropriate, and then we can keep the budget the same. But again, all of this is hinging on where we're gonna be with the school, in my opinion, and that's what I'd like to wait to vote these
So
budgets.
Maria, one thing I was thinking about is some of the warrant articles, we could decrease a little bit. And so what I'm wondering is whether we want to say, put either the low or the high price in the warrant, but dependent on how Article 5 goes. So if the town passes the 15.9%, maybe we decrease OPEB by 200,000. Maybe we do,
can talk
so
about that,
do some things like that.
Yeah. So it's either 150 or 300,000 for OPEB.
And we could do that maybe with a few items.
So, I mean, the
This
warrant.
It was
so-
an A and a B warrant list in a way.
Yeah, so just keeping in mind, the warrant is owned by the select board, so they would need to be on board with that.
Yep.
Which they're just as extremely concerned about this as we are,
Yes,
so.
I was just
But
thinking
that's
about that here,
actually not
so-
a bad idea, right? Because then we could pick some bigger items,
Yeah.
and say, the FinCom supports this item if the school budget doesn't pass. If the school budget passes, we don't support it, that kind of thing.
Now, I would not recommend that for anything that's being bonded, because that's different
That's
funding
different,
source,
yeah,
right?
this would be raised,
But OPEB is usually out of free cash.
yep.
So it's something to think about with the select board.
We could also look at maybe using some stabilization, right? I mean, we don't
Yeah.
only have to use free cash. If we've got stuff that we think is really important, that's, like OPEB, we could do that out of stabilization
Right.
instead of
So
free
I did
cash.
ask Mike to get me updated numbers on stabilization and free cash since fall town meeting, and we need confirmation before Saturday on that $48,000, because we can't vote stabilization unless we know what number's real.
And what, $48,000?
The $48,000 that appeared in stabilization.
Oh, right, yeah.
On the just.
You don't think it's interest?
If it is interest, I mean, it could be, but that seems like an awful lot, doesn't
Wasn't
it?
it like 3%, wasn't it, Dylan?
I don't remember. I mean, it was 1.5 million is what we had in stabilization.
Yeah, it's like 3%, I think. Well, no, when I did
I mean,
the
if
math,
it
could
is
be
interest,
yeah.
great, but I mean, in the past, I've been doing this for 2 years as chair, stabilization hasn't gone up.
I know.
So it could be that all of a sudden, we're
Yeah.
just adding all the interest in, right? Because then it's
Interest
over 2
rates
years.
Yeah.
have gone up.
Yeah, so, that'd be great. Then that gives us more money to play with, but, so we'll do that. We'll wait until we make a decision on the school and then go through to vote the
To
budgets.
do that, there's a couple of budgets that we need to understand. The debt,
Yep,
where those are, the county retirement assessments, other insurance, employee benefits.
yes.
We deal with
and-
those things.
And hopefully, we're changing health insurance because what we use is belly up, right?
Right,
So
but-
hopefully,
And
Mike will
talking
have
about
a,
trying to vote everything, I want to make
Right.
sure we have those,
Okay, so I will
Or
ask
not
Mike.
expect.
Unfortunately, those are all assessments.
yep.
So we're only gonna,
except the health insurance isn't,
it's an assessment, so
Well,
it's whatever Maya ends up being.
Right.
Right, so the only one that's not is debt, and that will be us deciding on the bonding and stuff with the warrant. I can ask Mike for that, but those are always the last minute deals that come
Yeah.
in.
I know, but
Right.
I'm just saying, if you're trying to do everything, I don't think we can get everything done. There's a few things that always come at the end.
Right, okay,
And same with, I don't know if we'll have benefits at the time for that.
I don't know. Right, so if we end up doing all
But
but
we
those
can probably
four-
get 80% done.
Yeah, and I think we just do that in one night, we just schedule that, because then that way, we have it all in context. I don't think we can vote any more of these budgets if we don't have a full understanding of where we are with warrants, articles, funding through articles, and the school.
because I'm looking right now at what's in the budget right now in employee health insurance.
Yeah.
And what looks like we have in here is up 18%. But I think this was with
Middlesex.
Minuteman Shoba.
Yeah.
So hopefully Maya comes in lower.
I think that Mike didn't want to change that.
Right.
He intentionally put it at a higher level, didn't want to change it until we knew where we were
And
going to be.
that's fine, but I'm just saying that might be a place where we see some savings.
Right, so. Okay, cool, so we'll do that with the voting on the budgets. There was something I wanted to talk about under budgets. Oh, maybe it was the school?
The school, we were gonna talk about the school, but we've talked about the school.
Yeah, we talked about the school. Okay.
What?
I was thinking that I was gonna use budgets for,
So we could talk about the school, because it's on the it's on the warrant, I mean, it's on the agenda.
right, okay.
Just,
Oh, table 6.
no, just an observation actually, but based on, going back to the police discussion a little bit.
Yeah.
So sort of pressured him a bit about the salary line increase, and it's all very understandable, the 6% increase based on cost of living, steps, etc. But it's still a 6% salary increase. That's sort of, that may be sort of the reality, yet we're living within a world where we overall have to keep within a 2.5% increase. So Adam's exactly right, really, in terms of how many years can you go on in this world where things are increasing by those percentages and not have an override, actually. It's going to happen sooner or later, it's my observation.
I do want to say one thing, though, like, if you've got long-term employees in town in unions or on the personnel plan, there's a finite number of steps, and then all you get is your COLA.
Right.
So then you're looking at the
School
2.5.
committee doesn't not have that luxury. They've got this thing called Supermax, which is the forever going on step. It just doesn't stop. It goes
Right.
on and on. So people continually get, like, the COLA plus another 2% or whatever it is. So, I mean,
But the reality is, all these budgets, you look at them, the percentages you see down these columns are all more than 2.5%.
Yes.
Right.
Right, and we don't necessarily only tax the 2.5% plus the exclusion, whatever. Sometimes, people's tax bills went up last year 7 and 8%, right? But we have the excess levy that we've used very cautiously.
Sure.
So we're not taxing it 2.5%. That's not realistic.
not-
None of our
yeah,
budgets
right.
over the last number of years, right?
No, yeah.
But we've always had this excess levy. We spend, even with what we budget tightly, but then they spend pretty stingily too. So there's always money at the end of the year that goes back into free cash, right?
I mean, the
Yeah.
schools that increased last year was 5-point-something%, right? I mean, our assessment was up 5-something%.
Yeah.
It
I'm
was-
just trying to have a reality check
What?
on
The overall school budget went up 2.5%.
You're right, but our assessment went up more than that, and I understand this because we have more kids.
5.5.
But I also know that, like, we tax the taxpayers on our assessment, not on what the school budget is, right?
I think you're right, but I think that the problem with this is I feel a little bit like it came out of nowhere. I think that with a new finance director coming in at some point, and an accountant, we can get more of a 3 to 5 year projection. And we will know that in 3 years, we may need to go for an override, right?
yeah.
And I, quite frankly, do not want to be forced into an override just through the school budget.
But this year, I don't think we can do an override this year. I think this year we can manage this, I think, with the various steps we've talked about.
Yeah.
I think it's next year and the year after we've got to be thinking about. You're quite right, but I think this year we have enough flexibility. Is my sense anyway here, looking at this, that we can find a way through it.
Right,
think
but I
so.
also don't think
Yeah.
we
I think
want,
we'll have-
I also don't think we need to let the ALG, because it is not the Acton, it's not all of Acton, it's 6 people, 2 FinCom members, 2 school committee members, and 2 select board members who decide how much of an increase they're gonna do. And that doesn't just flow this way and say, oh, well, Boxborough can just pay their share, because that's not really how it should work. I mean, we can push back also, because they've pushed back for years, right? They've been pushing back and saying, can't go up more than 3%, because that's all the money we've got. And so, we've said, we've not thought that, because our enrollment's going up, but I also think that it doesn't just flow one way.
I completely agree
Okay.
and say the same when I'm there. The pendulum's going to swing. There's going to be a point where Acton has additional levy limit and Boxborough won't, and Boxborough will drive that. If this is the year for that as well, I think it's important for you all to give that feedback to us and to the district.
I think we've given you that feedback.
Yeah.
But I do think, with respect to forecasting, we'll be in a much better place once we have a
Oh, yeah.
finance director, accountant in place, and we
Yeah.
can get 3 to 5 year. We've been asking, the select board's been asking for years. I think Mike has done his best but we are not fully staffed on the finance team. Once we get fully staffed on the finance team, I think we can get 3 years. 5 years, to me, don't mean anything. Once you go out 3 years, I don't think they mean
Right,
anything.
because-
I think
So then
a
you're
3-year
negotiating
projection-
contracts again,
Yeah.
right?
I think a 3-year projections is
I
what.
mean, if somebody knows what the world economy is gonna do in 5 years, I really wanna talk to that
Yeah,
person.
yeah. So.
It's interesting that somehow it argues for, making it more difficult to build in this town. That would be a good thing, perhaps, financially. Not, I don't mean it,
Build in what sense?
building houses. In other words,
Never mind houses,
accommodations
how
for
about
more
businesses?
Families to move in, to have kids. I know that's a very negative sounding thing, but I'm just, speaking financially, that's an interesting dilemma.
Right, we don't want more kids in the school system, but we do want businesses which are paying taxes, and we have a really hard time
So I think
giving
that-
people permits.
Right, so I think that's a question for the select board. They need to, or BLF, when and if we get back to it, is new growth. Because new growth next year is gonna be down as well. Mike has said that. Maybe we need to come up with more of a strategic plan townwide with input from everybody. But that's, the select board drives that policy, we drive the finance, so. Okay. Do you have anything else? Because we don't need to keep you, unless.
He doesn't want to go home because it must be bedtime or something. He's been sitting here.
He did just look, I just want you to know, he just looked at his watch.
I'm waiting for my ride to pick me up at the Nealon's house because I'll be dropping my car off there tonight.
All right.
Tomorrow.
So I do have a question if we're moving on.
Yeah,
Last week in the minutes, we talked about an overage of $10,545 versus a budget of $5,000. We were wondering where that overage came from. Did we get that resolved?
yes, no, it has not, we have not gotten an answer, and that was in the budget for the planner, the town planner
It was town
budget. I think it was town planner or one of the budgets that he's in charge
Oh,
of.
land, building,
And we didn't know zoning, it wasn't zoning, it was planner.
land use,
Hold on,
174?
175 is planning board, 174 is land use.
Land use,
Yeah,
it was in the
174.
land use bill. It was actuals 23.
It was a budget of 5,000, and the actual was 10,545.
Oh, right, we deficit expended.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So the question is, where did the 5,545 come from to cover that budget?
You didn't write down which budget it was?
I didn't.
I might have. Hold on, because I took notes. Decrease meeting secretary.
It was in the plan, it's in the planning board budget.
It is?
Consulting services.
Oh, and they-
FY20
yeah.
FY '23 budget 5,000, FY '23 actual 10,500.
Oh, yeah, yep,
Right, right,
yep,
okay.
yep.
That was last year. No, that has not been answered yet.
Okay. So I'll put it back in
But
the
it's-
minutes for this week.
But, Mike, you can see, Mike put this, how did we deficit spend to get covered? FinCom question. So he's provided that question.
And which budget is this again?
This
This
is-
is the 175
Yeah,
planning
planning
board.
board.
Planning board.
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, next on the agenda. Since we're coming off budgets, I would suggest, can we do this? If you guys have some time, take this budget, if Mike sends out a new budget, look at the salaries. If you have questions, big percentages, let's get those questions to those department heads.
Right.
Okay, in an email, or send an email to me and I'll send it out to the department heads. They don't need to come visit us, but, let's just get those questions answered so that when it comes time to vote this thing, we're good to go. Okay. So, at the last, we're still on budget. At the last meeting, hold on. John, thank you. Sorry, John.
Hi, John.
I just completely blanked out. Asked about,
Was she looking at me at the time?
Yes. Well, she
I was pointing
at-
because I'm trying to share something.
She was doing the
There's
great
a-
thing.
There's a lot going on right now. I'm trying to share something and it's,
Sometimes they call me Steve.
And he asked about assessments. And so you got the table 6.
Yes.
Which, can I just say, Adam, has changed significantly.
It was
since
one page when I was on the committee.
It wasn't even a full page, dude. It was like a little piece of a page. I got this thing, I opened it up and I'm like, oh my God. It's an entirely different table 6. So, So this is table 6. I sent it out today.
From the
Oh,
school
okay.
committee.
It's from the school committee and it shows the assessments. John, I actually wanted to ask you the question, did you get a chance to review this?
I did.
Did you understand it?
Yeah, I can follow through it pretty much.
Okay, good. That was better than me. I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, I have to totally reacquaint myself with this.
I think what's most interesting about it are actually the hidden columns, which is interesting for trending. So if you go to, and I just don't want to bore you with this, but I think there's one column that's super wide that has this year, I can't really read if you're looking at this fiscal year, but I think you are.
I'm looking at the FY 21-27 projections.
Yeah.
So kind of the first
So
page.
there's a whole bunch of columns that are hidden.
There is?
Yeah, yeah, a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But it's
so-
previous history.
Yeah, it's history, and I just think it's very interesting from a trending perspective, just to see where we're going on this in terms of.
How do you know
especially-
they're hidden?
How do you know you're hidden and
Look
how
at
do
the
I?
top row.
Because if you look at the top row, it goes from B to Z.
Go to go to B
Oh, go from B to Z.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just highlight B and Z.
Highlight B
and go to over to.
Okay,
Yeah, now right
Wait, what
click.
do you have?
Unhide,
Right click.
I've got,
unhide.
what do you, I don't understand.
Oh, look at that.
I don't know.
It's like a miracle.
It's all the good stuff. Right? No,
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Okay, so, okay, go ahead.
so I was
Okay.
just looking at the trending from each of the major budget
I'm
items
gonna
on the
download it.
left-hand column.
Yeah.
And then watching that trend as you go left to right. And it's pretty interesting in terms of what's increasing and what's stable. I mean, I don't think it's any surprise to anybody, like, your capital component's pretty stable. But obviously, the operating budget has gone up by 25%, or at least the allocated amount. It's gone up by 25% in 4 years.
Yep.
So I mean, that's a shocking amount to me, but. And the way I did that was, hopefully it's still in my version. Come on.
Yeah, I can see that. Wow.
So for example, if you look at row 50, so if you look at the net assessment due both towns,
Row 50.
which I think is where really is what we have to pay, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep,
So you look at C, so the total in '21 was 77 million, right?
yeah.
So you go, what's proposed for '25, we're up to 96 million. That's a 24% increase in 4 years. So that value is allocated between Boxborough and Acton, but just as a super, the master number, I mean, that's just to me, I mean, it just feels like a big number, but it's over 4 years, so.
It's $1 million a year to us, if you look
Well,
at it.
one of the
So
things,
there was one thing is, when did we vote the
Hold on.
school?
right,
Sorry.
So we wrote the school debt for the new building.
right.
And so that would be in there, right? That was $116 million.
Wait, we're talking about the capital, that's capital though, right?
Well, but it would be included in that overall, right?
Yeah, there's actually a line item in here for building assessment.
Okay. Well, if it's outside of row 23, which is capital and debt budget,
It's
because
54C,
Doug, there, see,
6.8%.
Route 20.
What row?
Line 20. Douglas Twin School Construction Debt Service.
right, but so what's interesting is that's all flat line. So if you look at that number, 6.2 million in column C, right? Which includes
Oh, yeah, that is
Douglas.
all flat line.
It should be.
And you
We
carry
budget
it
flat.
all the way across, it's very flat.
So where did that increase come from?
So it all comes from the operating budget.
Wow, God, John, you're pretty good at this.
Well, I learned something tonight. I'm so excited.
So you realize that Becky's gonna take this home now, and she's gonna analyze
Yeah,
it,
be
but,
careful with it, yeah.
wow.
No, this
Okay.
is a great
But
sheet.
wait, didn't the percentage change over year from year?
Yeah, but he's not looking at the percentage, he's looking at,
No, I'm saying how much we pay based upon,
but he's looking
Yeah,
at the overall assessment to both towns.
So here's two different numbers that I was looking at is basically what the overall budget is, which is row 10, and again, Adam, keep me honest here, and row 25 roughly are the, kind of like the top line numbers. And then, so you say that we have to be careful, every time that there's going to be an override. We should expect an override sometime down the future, as a matter of course. I don't fully agree with that. I think we kind of, I half agree with you on that, right? I don't think when you say it like that, it's almost like we kind of work towards that, indirectly, kind of like, yeah, well, we'll get it eventually. And one of the things that kind of supports my argument is that, for example, the state funding is completely flat line across the board, right? And
Or decreasing.
or decreasing, right? So you're increasing everything on the expense side, and yet we know the state is not going to come back to us with more money next year. It's going to come back to us with less. So you got to factor that in. You really do. I mean, and I'm not saying that's easy, but for us to kind of stick our head in the sand and say, well, the state's going to cover us here, it's not, right? We shouldn't, especially the way the economy's, who knows what the economy's going to do, but I don't think there should be an expectation that state revenues, especially in a town as wealthy as Acton and Boxborough are, that we're going to get a bigger share of the pie, because we're not. It's just not going to happen. And proof of that is just look at the row, again, make sure I'm interpreting this correctly, but it's row
31?
less state aid and other reserves. So
Yep.
the total reserves and reserve use, which includes reserves and state aid. So let's just look at that. I mean, that's 19 million across the board for the last 4 years, roughly.
Mhm.
Actually, it went up to 20. But then back down to 19. So let's just call it 19. It's compared to 4 years ago, it's increased 0.8%.
Right.
So this is let's just call this crudely a revenue side. Our revenue is flat, right? Our non-tax paying revenue is flat. And yet our expenses, depending on which of those top lines you look at, have gone up by 20%. And if you grab another row, it's 24%. If you grab row 60, it's 25%. So, it's a tough one. But I mean, I think we need to factor in the fact that the state's not going to come up with more money; it's going to come up with less. So that puts even more pressure on the top line. And clearly, the top line that is moving is the operating budget. At least my interpretation.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm confused now. Because I'm looking at line 25, right? I'm looking all the way across, and it says the total assessment's 115 million, right? Or the total budget's 115 million.
Yep.
It's saying our portion of that's 19 million. But on the tax calculator, Tony's got 16 million.
Because there's state aid that gets factored into it.
Okay.
Right. So you take out the state aid,
You got to go all the way to the bottom.
and you go all the way to the bottom. So
Okay.
you're going to actually go
That's fine,
to
I just didn't look that far.
row 60.
Oh, yeah, I see, okay.
Right. So you take out the state aid, the
Yeah.
reserves, all of that stuff.
Okay, got it. There's the 16 million. All
Right, because then you go down, right, it's 115 minus your reserves and your state aid, and then you go down to the 95 million, and then it goes down, and yada, yada, yada. So, all right.
But the question I have, I was looking at this, we keep hearing 15.7, 15.6%. This is showing 16.62%.
No,
Yeah,
15.5.
Row 54 is the actual assessment.
15.5, 155.
So what is row 61?
Row 61 is the assessment component. I don't know what that means. Oh, operating budget component increase.
Yeah, so I think it's broken down. Row 53 and row 54 are the totals. And then I think 56 through 61 break it down by capital and operating budget. Or do I have that wrong? Excuse me,
But
row
then-
50 is the
that-
total.
No, wait, that can't be right.
Yeah, that's not right. I take that back.
So row 54 is what our assessment is, the 15.59.
Right.
The question is, what is the 16.62?
What row is 16.62? I'll tell you. that.
61.
61.
Yes, so.
Well, it's a 2.3.
So if you
Operating
look at-
budget component increase.
Yeah, exactly. So isn't it a breakdown of capital versus operating? That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So row 50 equals row 57 plus row 60.
Okay.
That's what it is. Sorry. Does that make sense? So it's basically the bottom numbers are a breakdown of the row 50.
So we shouldn't be concerned with 16.62.
No.
Forget that percentage. What we care about is the dollar amounts, which is row 50.
Right,
which
16.
is 16,117, which is the number we've been working with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess, Adam, a question you might not be able to answer. Why is the percentage going up for the past 5 years? You'll notice, I mean, it's small, but when you're talking millions of dollars, you're talking numbers.
What percentage?
You're going from 15.98% to 16.29% to 16.8%.
What are we talking about?
I'm talking on row 51. How much,
Because our enrollment's going up.
is that all it is? And if that's what it is, that's fine, but I just was.
It's all based on the three-year rolling average, right?
Well,
Yeah, it's-
I mean, the primary driver is the overall expenses are going up, right? The actual allocation of students that we have is only a very small difference. It's going up, but the real driver is the expense, the overall dollar outlay.
Yeah, but why would that change our percentage?
It's not. So I had the same problem last week. You're looking at it vertically and should be horizontally, or horizontally and looking at it vertically. I can show you, it was the same problem I had last week. The actual allocation, Foxborough pays relative to Acton has been very constant. and it's-
Okay, I see what you're saying, yeah, okay, yeah.
So if you look at,
Yeah,
I think there's one chart here that shows it very well.
Yeah, okay,
Might be the last tab. Yeah, there you go. Last tab says chart.
Yeah.
And that's the number that is the breakdown. And it's, it's hovered between 85 and 83%. It's trending more expensive for us because we have more students in the program.
got it, yep, okay, yep.
And there was a long time when Boxborough,
Roman.
and one of the reasons we do have an excess levy
Yeah.
is because for a long time, I remember one year we had like a negative assessment. It was like, it
Yeah.
wasn't even zero, it was just
So this-
less than zero.
Yeah, these are some of the eccentricities of Table 6 and the regionalization agreement that I'm not even familiar with, but there was cost shifting
Right.
in the early years of
Yep.
regionalization.
Yep.
I think 2019, I think all
It
of
was
that
like
is cleared out.
6 years of
So
cost
the,
shifting.
Yeah,
the
and
first
so
5
it's-
years, we actually gave funds to Acton to make it
Right.
more reasonable.
Right, because
We
we were
to accept
saving,
us into the program.
and even with
Right.
giving significant amount of money to Acton, right?
Right,
We were still having
Right.
flat assessments.
Well, there was a couple of positive things. One, the insurance, Acton's insurance was actually going down for a couple of years in a row.
Yeah.
Not to bring the bad things up,
Yeah.
but that really
That
helped
was
us a lot.
probably, in hindsight, might not have been the best.
Not a good
It might not have been the best choice then.
But, I mean, there were some really positive things that happened over the years. and
Right.
Now it's catching up.
Right, so you can see that when we were lower and they were higher, and quite frankly, they did the same thing when the budgets came up, because they were like, well, Boxborough's like, 0.5%, and we're at 5%, and
Right.
it was the same thing, so.
So one of the notes I have is I've asked Sherry to prepare,
We're good.
what is the component of the assessment that's related to change in attendance versus?
yeah.
Yeah, we
the
had
budget,
asked for
I
that the
think
last
that-
time you guys
I
came.
think
And can
that
I
would
ask
be
you a
helpful,
question
too.
then, based on that? Because I know that like Acton's got like 90 or 100 kids at Minuteman or more, right? I know that the charter schools, and it only breaks it out by school district, doesn't break it out by town. There are 43 kids who go to either Parker or the Math and Science Charter School, that's 43 kids total, Acton and Boxborough. I'd like to know how many of those are from Boxborough, how many are from Acton, because I want to make sure we're not getting, charged for.
So it says charter school aid, 50,000.
Yeah, so I think that's confusing because I think the charter school is both charged to and back funded to.
No, I
at
get
the
that, but
district
what I'm
level.
saying is, like how the 100 kids who go to Minuteman from AB come off of Acton's assessment, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to know how many kids are from Acton going to the charter schools and how many kids from Boxborough going to the charter schools.
Okay.
But what difference does it matter? 'Cause it's in the budget anyways.
Well, no, because you're right,
Because
it's
it
in the
affects
budget.
our-
I just want to
our
make sure,
enrollment
I want to
percentages.
make sure that we're getting credit for the kids that aren't going to AB and they're going to the charter schools.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they've got all these kids going to vocational schools,
Yeah.
which is strangling Acton because
Yeah.
the Minuteman assessment is so high.
Yeah, okay, I
But
got you.
I just want to make sure that we're getting our fair.
Okay, so do we have any specific questions for Adam? And I would suggest that if you guys want some light reading, maybe you kind of delve into this now, especially now that we've
I know how to read it.
But there are two things I'd point out, John, you hit the nail on the head in terms of revenues. There's this thing called hold harmless, where the district doesn't get additional funds from the state because our budget, amount we were getting from the state is higher than the actual number of kids that we have in the program now. We get $30 to $60 a year, so that's why those are flat. The other thing I would just point out is I'd be careful about characterizing the 5-year increase or whatever it is as 26%. I think it would be better to look at the compound rate, and that shows pretty clearly, I think, on line 26. You know, we're hovering at or below 3% every year in terms of the overall operating budget increase. So I think it's just important to look at that. I will definitely prepare Sherry to let her know that you guys have this very powerful tool in your hands and be prepared to
And we
answer
opened it
questions.
up, so
Right,
not
right.
just.
And you unzipped Pandora's box.
We did.
I mean, it's all public now, like it's public information, so I'm happy to have you guys dive into this.
Okay.
I will just say, like, there are so many eccentricities in terms of what we've done with the district, particularly over the past 5 years. Looking at the individual cost codes is going to be really important. Special education, we've talked about that over and over again. There are easily, 50 kids who are in district now, and we have additional special educators supporting them who might have had to go out of district. And we're talking about $40,000, $50,000 a kid versus $150,000 a kid plus transportation. So it can't be just sort of an apples to apples from year to year to year. Happy to have you guys dig into this, and as Becky said, Sherry is our secret weapon. She has all this stuff already in her pocket. So
Adam, high level question, does the state give us more, the district, more money for special ed if they go out of district or if they stay in district?
A little bit, after it hits a certain amount.
Yeah, so the way that works is that's the circuit breaker fund. So we're responsible, let me start, first of all, on average it's about $15,000 that the district sends per student. We're responsible for any student who has special education, IEP, up to $50,000, regardless of where they go. After $50,000, everything from $50,000 up, the state will reimburse us into a special education fund about 75% of that cost. So if we have a student who goes to Case Collaborative and the overall tuition for that kid is $49,000, we're on the hook for all of it. If they're in district and they're in a resource program with 5 other kids and we've got 2 educators and the cost for that program is $150K, but it serves 3 or 4 kids, it's going to be less than the $50,000 per kid. But we bear that cost of those educators in the district.
So that kind of goes to your comment of earlier about are we getting doubly whammied from the state because we're getting mandated to care for these kids versus shipping them out?
Teaching these kids.
Teaching these children.
Sorry, teaching.
And we teach them in district if it's possible. We don't ship them out, we have to put them in out-of-district placement.
No, I know.
Can I just,
Because we don't have the ability.
First off,
Thank
can we
you.
change the terminology here, just for the sake of,
but Adam, can I just say that when I was looking at the audits, which I know, which are on the website,
Yep.
the out-of-district tuition, like in 2015, 2016, was twice what it is right now. And so it's come down. So I guess I don't understand like why we're all of a sudden so like, oh, it's up 14%. Like it's down substantially from where it was. It was up at like almost $8 million at one point.
Yeah, and we've had a decrease in student population, and we've had a flat or increase in our teaching staff to support those kids. And to make the comment, in addition to that, we have a lot of administrative load because of the regulations we have to report on those students, which requires additional staff that, there's a cost to bringing them in.
And that's more what I was talking about. I was not talking about,
Yeah, I don't know if I would, but I don't know if I
mean-
characterize it as an unfunded mandate, because I would say that having those kids in district is probably better for the kids and for the town than it would be to send them out. So it's, whether or not it's funded or not,
No,
it's the right thing
I
to
meant the
do.
administrative work. I did not mean
Yeah.
anything having to do with the education of the kids. I
So
meant-
maybe-
hold on one
okay,
second. So to your point, though, it sounds like it's less expensive for them to stay in the town,
It is.
obviously.
It is.
Okay.
It-
Okay, right.
As a
That's
whole, but when you look at our professional staff numbers, and you look at the trend of that against the trend of our enrollment numbers, you're gonna say, well, your enrollment has gone down, but your professional teaching staff is flat or increased.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Is that the administration has gone up. The administration cost has gone up because more kids are staying in district.
And we've got increasing class sizes per students, so those numbers don't add up.
No, not necessarily.
Increasing
not
class
across the board.
sizes.
When my son was in kindergarten, 28 kids in his class.
And the other thing you have to remember is out of district, then you have to add tuition to it. I mean, transportation.
Yep.
Which can be ridiculous.
Astronomical.
So if your tuition is $60,000 to go to an out-of-district placement tuition, you can have $40,000 in transportation costs if that child needs a nurse on board.
Yeah.
Because some of these kids do need a
Yeah.
person traveling with them.
Yeah.
It can be even higher than that, right? And I don't think that's reimbursed.
I think,
It's like-
at least last year, they were reimbursing as part of circuit breaker special education transportation, but it depends
It's
on
short.
what the state decides.
So,
each year.
so that's why,
combined,
that's
yeah.
the second reason it's good. If you can keep a child in district, that's actually good for the child. He's in his home school with people that they know
Right,
in their
yeah.
community. The second part of that, which isn't the most important part, is it's generally cheaper from a teaching perspective, and it's always cheaper from a transportation
But it's
perspective.
more expensive for administration.
It may be, yes. Yes, but not, but when you look at it in a total, if you're paying $110,000 for a child to be out of district placed between tuition and transportation,
Right, right.
you're not paying $110,000 to keep that child in district.
Even with the additional.
Even with all the additional, because that additional admin
He's probably doing more
support
than one
is doing more
person.
than one child. So, right?
So we shouldn't be hopping on administration, because clearly.
Well, it does, it depends.
It's not, I'm not talking just special education administration.
So anyway, so
Yeah.
you know kind of the questions we're gonna ask.
Yeah.
So you might
I've
tell
already
Peter.
sent them up, so hopefully they'll be prepared. My final comment, like I said, I know that you guys aren't happy with this. I think it would be really important for you to give some specific feedback to the administration and the committee. What's the right number? Because what I don't want is to have warrant articles that say, should the school budget not pass? I mean, we've been there before, it's really uncomfortable. I'd much rather come to the agreement before we go to town meeting on what is a tenable number that continues to provide the support and the education, but is something that the town and the finance.
So maybe
committee
we need to look at
So maybe
the
we can look at
financial
that.
model
We
right
can, we
now.
can talk, once we talk, we can do that, once we've had the conversation with school next week.
Yeah.
We can look at that number, because maybe it is 10%. Maybe 10% is something that when we put it in, and we have our, we look at everything together, articles and warrants and all the rest of it,
Right.
that maybe 10% is the number that we can live with.
The one thing I will just ask is that what you're asking for is a less than level service budget for the schools, but you're proposing a level service budget for the town, so it's just something to consider that might be hard to sell the other side of that when you've got a fair number of people in town who've got kids who are afraid of
Yep.
not just losing teachers, but the rest of the services and athletic fees and activity fees and all of those things that each one of them holds dear.
Yep.
Yeah, there's also seniors who won't be able to stay in their homes if we have a $2,000 a year increase. And we have to, that's what we have to look at. It's the townwide. Parents are all about, let's do this, fully fund, fully fund it, whatever it takes. Seniors are saying, I'm on a fixed income. If I've got to come up with an additional $200 a month in taxes, I might not be able to stay here. And I can't be the person who says, that's okay, Air has nice condos for you, like other people, and there's other people on
In
other
town who say
boards
that, yeah.
that say that, and I think that's
But it's not even
obnoxious.
seniors, it's people with kids, like some of that, you say there's 35% of our population has got kids under 18. I mean, I've seen on social media, and I'm not sure whether it was on Nextdoor or on that lovely Facebook page on, Acton Boxborough, of parents who are like, I'm paying so much for daycare already, I can't afford a huge increase in my taxes. I want a good education for my kids, but I can't afford this either. So it's not just, yes, there are parents who want this, but there are probably also parents with kids in the school district who can't afford a big increase, right?
Yeah.
So I think we need to really look at it and try and figure it out. Tony gave us this great calculator. It says 15.59 right now for the schools, and it tells me how much my taxes are gonna be next year. That's great. So now I can put 10% in there, and it will tell me what my taxes are gonna be next year. I really think we all need to, maybe before they come next week, I don't know how we do this unless we do it literally sitting here in real time, to say this is what we're all really comfortable with, or we need a spread like this.
I think we need to let them talk and then have that conversation, and
Well, I do too, but he's saying they shouldn't come next week, and then, you want us to give you a number.
We're not voting our budget until, I can't think of it off the top of my head, the 15th or whatever that next school committee meeting
Okay.
is. And that, as you all know, that's the not to exceed number.
right.
Right.
And so there is time to bring that down.
Yep. So,
There's definitely time. I just, I think it would be important for all of us to know what's tenable for the town. And again, I wouldn't feel comfortable going back to my committee representing that, saying the town of Boxborough is putting forward a level service budget for the town, but is asking us to cut even more from our budget.
okay.
Could I ask that you provide information on the amount of staffing at each managerial level as that's
That's
trended?
coming on Saturday. There's a deep dive on all the administration on our
Yeah.
budget Saturday.
Well, we'll get that in advance. We used to get budget books in advance,
I believe the budget binder is getting published this Friday.
and it will be online.
Yes,
And Julie will send out a link.
I will ask her to.
Could you do that?
Yep.
So that we can all get it. I mean, Friday's a little late because Saturday's a meeting, but at least you'll have it.
No.
This Friday,
This Friday,
Friday.
you'll have a week,
you'll
yeah.
have a week.
Okay,
So, and it will be online.
so capitals on Saturday.
Capital Saturdays this week, that's the next thing we're gonna talk about. Okay, I have a couple more things that we have to do, so we have to move off of school, because as much as I love you guys are coming back next week too. On this calculator that you have,
Yeah.
you've done, once all of this is decided, and we've done our final votes, and we have our final articles, I would love to figure out a way to get just that top part, minus the school, because we'll have decided that, right? Onto the website, so people can go on and understand that if all of this passes, being warrant articles, yada, 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 this is what your taxes is gonna be. I don't know if there's a way to do that on a website, but I'd like to work with Rajon and see
John
if
may
there
know.
is.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be interactive, right? It's got to be.
Right, and I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a way to do
yeah,
that,
yeah.
but I think that is so awesome.
Because I love this. Like, I got right on right away and looked to see what my tax increase would be next year. And I'm sitting here putting in, okay, if it's a 10% increase in the budget, this is what my taxes are going to be. It's going to be 12%, this is what my taxes are
But
going to be.
I think this is great for people to understand before town meeting. I just don't know if we can do that, so maybe we can, but it has to be, we can't change this in real time, so it needs to be
Right.
once everything's
Right.
voted.
And only
the
this top
warrants
line,
and-
because you don't want
yes.
them sitting there going through the warrant saying, okay, well, we don't need to pay, we don't need to do this and take it out. 'cause-
But just so understand, if all of these things pass that are in the warrant that you're gonna get in your mailbox 14 days before town meeting, your taxes should go approximately this high.
Right.
Like my taxes, right now, if the school budget comes in at 15.59, is gonna go over $10,000, and I live in a 3-bedroom ranch in town.
It's gonna go up 10,000?
It's gonna go over
Over
10,000.
10,000.
Now, that may not seem like a lot, but I don't live in a big house. I live in a 3-bedroom ranch. And, there's a lot of people in town already paying 10,000.
Right, exactly.
So if mine are going up over 10,000, yours are going up even higher if you're already paying 10. So, so I think that's a great tool, and I would love to be able to get that out to the town, to the residents.
Sure, yeah.
Okay? All right, so that's enough on budget for tonight. Warrant articles we'll discuss on Saturday. Speaking of Capital Saturday, can I have a show of hands? Who will be here, because we're ordering lunch, and I just want to know who's actually going to be here and who's not.
I can't be.
You
No.
cannot, because Shava's off the meeting, so I don't know. You are going to be here?
In the morning, I can't spend the whole day.
You can't be here till 2? We're done at 2. Our agenda is going to end around 2. I'm just wondering for lunch. Will you be here for
Yeah, I'll
lunch?
be here for lunch.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there'll be 5 of us. I don't want to order lunch if, okay.
No,
We'll have-
it's just, yeah.
Okay, tentatively, the agenda is that the select board's gonna meet for 5 minutes at 8:25. They have to vote some election thing, and they have to vote it by a certain date, certain in February before their next meeting, and we'll start at 8:35. And our
You got
first.
me. I can't go, right?
You can't
Yeah.
come, right, but you guys can, it'll be videotaped, so hopefully you'll be able to watch it. The first 20 minutes or so, which I think might take a little longer, we're gonna talk with the school, with the select board about this school thing, because we need to, the select board hasn't been brought, I've talked to Kristen, and she understands what ALG is going for, but we're gonna discuss the school budget and the override, and then we're gonna go into capital.
Did you go to Kashava still?
Kashava's not on the meeting
Okay,
anymore,
okay,
no,
okay.
so, I can email him.
Yep.
So then we have the department heads coming in. We'll have a lighter breakfast than we had last time. We're bringing in lunch. We'll probably finish.
What are you guys all bringing?
Soup.
I got bread, I got the bread, we're all set.
Some chili.
We'll end probably closer to 2:30. Usually we end between 2 and 3, so, okay? But we'll have food here. So that's Capital Saturday.
Your fancy bread.
I sent out, the Q2 finance report came out today. I put it in the email to you guys.
Yep.
And that is the report that is done by the finance team. And it was presented to, the select board, I think, last week. I'm sorry, I meant to send it out earlier and I didn't, and really? I don't want to do this right now. Okay, here we go. I
I'm
would
sorry,
say,
is that the Q2 finance team report?
yes. So take a look at it, read through it. If you have questions, we can discuss it. I'll put it back on the agenda next week. It's fairly long because they've included all of the budget pages on the bottom. So take a look at it and we can talk about it at our next meeting. Okay? If you have specific questions for the assessor or the accountant, maybe send those questions to me individually, and then I can send them off and get the answers for the next meeting, okay? This was also presented at the select board meeting on, does this have a date? The 18th? Did they have a meeting on the 18th?
Hey, Adam, if we put the full thing through, your
Yeah.
taxes will be
January 18th.
$14,678
January
next
18th.
year.
Okay, so January
It's all in
18th.
escrow, I just,
They presented this, so if you want to watch that meeting, you could watch that if you wanted to hear their narrative, so, okay? And I do apologize.
Is that
that I-
part of the email chain?
That
Yeah, it
is
is,
part of
it
the
is.
email documents that came out this afternoon. That was the only document I realized this afternoon that you guys hadn't received, because I know sometimes it's hard. Tony sends stuff out, Gary sends stuff out, Mike, we're all sending stuff out, so I'm gonna try to consolidate it, and I'll try to be earlier next
Maybe we
week.
should use shares. Just a thought.
Do what?
Share.
Google share.
Oh, no, I hate Google. We're not doing Google, anything. Google's miserable. We're doing attachments.
When Tony's chair next year, we can.
I just keep wondering where the document is that I was supposed to be looking at.
It's
That's
in
why-
an
that's why I'm
email
offering
that has
it.
my name on it, and it is addressed to
Next
you,
year.
and I also sent it to your personal account. I am on the United Way board, and I'm the treasurer, and when I try to attach it takes me every single month, I started in July or August, every single month, it takes me an hour and a half to figure out how I'm supposed to attach my reports. I hate Google, so we're not doing that.
I take it-
Tony, if Tony wants to be in charge of that next year, great.
Maria,
I
this
can't.
has been an issue for 3 years for you.
I Google anyway. Okay, so there's that. I was hoping Mike could give us an update on the legal fees. He sent an email out. He's not well, so he's no longer on our meeting. So we'll get that update next week. We'll add that to it. Do we have any updates on the dashboards? Nothing, right?
No, there's still some outstanding questions that we have.
Right.
But, I haven't pushed Mike on it.
Okay, all right. After Capital Saturday,
Yeah.
we will. Okay, are there committee reports?
I went to planning board last night.
Yeah, they did
They did the master plan with the select board, and then they talked about an enforcement issue on Mass Ave, and that was about it. No new buildings, no new, revenue.
And I talked to Alec, and he's already talked to CPC. They're going to discuss at one of their summer meetings, changing over that action plan that we were in charge of for CPC. They agreed, Ron agreed that it didn't make sense that we would be figuring out their financing.
Oh,
So-
right, yeah, that one.
Right, that we had talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Gary, do you have any meetings?
So 2 meetings, not yet, but tomorrow night is the building committee. Hopefully to make a decision on the location.
Okay,
Though I heard somebody just popped up a new suggestion.
I can talk to you about that.
And school committee is Thursday night.
okay. Tomorrow night, Bob, are you gonna be on that meeting tomorrow night? I may join in just to listen,
Okay.
but I won't speak.
Wait, do you have to post it?
I do not need to post, I'm not gonna speak,
Because
I'm
we've
gonna
got
be there as
5
a
member
resident.
quorum.
Okay, okay.
And unless anyone else is gonna pop onto that meeting, I just would like to listen to the
Yep.
conversation as we go forward. Just sometimes I don't know, I just feel like we're getting to that point where we're gonna have to talk about this.
Certainly hoping we make a decision tomorrow and go forward with town meeting with the 2 items that are on there. So,
Cool. Anybody else? Adam?
Kirby just informed me that they'll take the stream of our budget Saturday from Acton TV and put it on BXB-TV as well.
Awesome,
Cool.
thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
great, thanks, Kirby.
Can you put it in fast motion, Kirby, so we don't have to listen to everything? Can you
Becky,
speed it up?
you can speed it up. It's not going to be. You can just drag a little cursor down. Becky sent out an email today about basic budgeting.
Yeah.
It's a
webinar next,
Oh, yeah.
on the 6th. I mean,
Yeah, I've signed up.
Tony said he signed up for it. Bob said he got the
Is there
email. I just didn't know if
cost?
other people had.
No, it's free.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going
It's
to
actually
sign up.
going to be posted on their site afterwards as well.
Right, it is. And is it going to be posted and you don't need to sign up to get the link?
I don't know.
Some things you have to sign up and get the link for it, but did they say they're going to post it?
I didn't get that level of specificity.
Okay. So that is a great, George, if you have the time, it's an hour. I can't do it. I have another appointment. It's next Thursday,
6th.
Wednesday, something
Whatever
like
the
that.
6th
It's like
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's like basic budgeting 101 for municipalities. Becky sent it out
No, it's
today.
like best
Did you get
practices,
it?
I think,
Yeah,
Did you
best
see?
practices.
Because I did it to the FinCom shell, and I'm never sure who the FinCom shell sends everything to.
I think it's fine now.
So that's a great kind of, those webinars are pretty good.
Yeah, I've been to a
They're
couple.
really good. Yeah, I've been to a couple too. So that was a good one that I get a lot of them, but that was one I wanted to point out, especially for anyone who's new that might want a little bit extra information. It's only an hour, and if it's posted on the website and you're signed up, you can just watch it at your leisure.
Yep.
Okay? All right, that's it. Can I have a
So
motion?
move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, this is no longer a roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.